We're on the air. We are on the air.
Are we on the air?
Yes, we're on the air.
You can say hi, David.
Yeah, you're on the air. We're on
What
the
is
air.
going on right now?
We are on the air. We're on the air.
What is going on?
I can hear you clearly, Jared.
What just happened?
We're on. We're on the air.
Why am I delayed by like 45 seconds?
I have no idea.
Okay, I have no idea what we're doing right here. I mean, are you? This is. All right, here's what we're going to start the show all over again. This is what we're going to do. We're going to start the show all over again, and we're going to get a whole reset here. So Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Start it again, David, please.
Investment. That's where CDs come into play. At F&M Bank, they've been providing smart choices to customers for over a century, including CDs that are a great way to save. You make a deposit and collect the earnings on your terms. Great rates, predictable results, and backed by the Federal Deposit Insurance Company. That's smart banking. Life is complicated. Banking shouldn't be. So go see them at one of their 20 locations across Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky or online at myfmbank.com. F&M Bank. Banking made easy on purpose. Member FDIC.
We're changing the game. I'm Michelle Knezovic. Help your bets stay hot this summer with Superbook Sports, the most trusted name in sports gambling, with a direct line to Las Vegas. And now when you use the promo code THEGAME, you can score up to $250 with their first bet bonus. Win or lose, Superbook will match your first bet up to $250 with the promo code THEGAME. Download the Superbook Sportsbook app and enter the promo code THEGAME, and you'll get $250 courtesy of Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com.
We have? Okay. So I'm just going to go and, we'll roll from there. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to weigh in, though I don't know if I'll be able to hear you or not. So we'll figure this out. What I want to start with today, though, is the new report from Mike Reese. And this is how bad it is when it comes to the DeAndre Hopkins front, that we are so incredibly desperate on how to go about the DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes, that we're so incredibly desperate for news that all of a sudden these tiny little blurbs in Mike Reese's ESPN.com story come out. And it's like, oh my God, breaking news. Did you know? How could you know? Oh my goodness gracious. So here's what Reese wrote. And before we get into exactly what it was that Reese wrote, I need to remind you guys that Mike Reese is considered the third Kraft son. So you've got Robert Kraft, you've got Jonathan Kraft, you've got the other Kraft, I don't know his name, Iggy Kraft, I don't know. And then you've got Reese. So normally he's pretty plugged in. He writes at ESPN.com, quote, D-Hop update. Key points on where things stand with free agent receiver DeAndre Hopkins, according to sources close to the situation, are as follows. The Titans and Patriots have made offers. The Titans have been more aggressive to this point, and Hopkins hasn't been in a rush to sign. One reason for Hopkins to wait a bit longer is to leave open the possibility of another team entering the mix, potentially increasing his market. So we've heard that a lot. That we've heard that, DeAndre can wait and then maybe another team will jump in there. I'm not exactly convinced that's going to happen, but that's a different story for a different day. What Mike Reese says is the Titans' offer has been more aggressive than the Patriots' offer. Now, again, like I said, he's the third Kraft son. So I can only guess that the offer that he got from the Titans was significantly better and, as we said, more aggressive than the offer from the Patriots. Well, duh. But how much more aggressive? And that's the missing context here. Everybody's so desperate for some DeAndre news that it's almost like as soon as they get it, As soon as they get a little, it's like, oh my God, the Titans have made a more aggressive offer. Does this mean that DeAndre doesn't want to come here? Does this mean that DeAndre is ultimately going to come here because the offer from the Titans is better than that or the offer from the Patriots? And I even saw today, I saw somebody saying that the Titans have made an aggressive offer to DeAndre Hopkins. And I said, wait a minute, whoa. The Titans have not made an aggressive offer to DeAndre Hopkins. That was not what Mike Reese reported. The Titans have made a more aggressive offer than the Patriots. The missing context is, what's the offer? What did the Titans offer? What's more aggressive? Did the Patriots offer $10 million and the Titans offer $12 million? Did the Patriots offer $8 million and the Titans offer $10 million? What defines anything that should be, it's the expectation. So the expectation here, I think we all thought when it came to DeAndre Hopkins that his value is somewhere in the $10 to $12 million range. But that doesn't mean that we know what the Titans offered. That doesn't mean that we know that if the Patriots only offered $5 million, and the Patriots are notoriously a cheap organization, if the Patriots only offered $5 million and the Titans offered $8 million, that is a more aggressive offer. So before we jump to conclusions about anything with the wording that came from Mike Reese, I would say all we know is that the Titans offer is better than the Patriots offer. We don't know what the Titans offer is. We don't know what the Patriots offer is. We have very little clues or context that would tell us what those offers are. But there is nothing that has shifted me one way or another. And as we have documented on this program, I have been very flying in the wind when it comes to my feelings on the DeAndre watch, specifically because I feel like the Titans are at a point where if they're going to get DeAndre Hopkins, that, if they're going to get him, then they've got a shot to have a pretty good team. If they're not going to get him, they don't have any wide receivers outside of Burks, and Burks even then's no sure thing. But this has not swayed me one way or another because it's lacking context. It's lacking the actual offer. If the Titans' aggressive offer to DeAndre Hopkins is $17 million a year and New England's offering $9 million and DeAndre's not interested, that's a much bigger story and a much different deal than, again, like I mentioned earlier, Patriots $5 million, Titans $8 million. But I do wonder this, and I go back to kind of when DeAndre went to New England, and everybody assumed because of the picture that was posted with Matthew Judon in the locker room. DeAndre posted it on his Instagram with Matthew Judon, and it said La Familia. And as soon as they posted that, everybody just assumed, okay, he's going to the Patriots. Now, we didn't. And the reason we didn't is because that day TD came on the show, and TD said that the Titans were confident that they were going to sign DeAndre Hopkins. So if the Titans were confident they're going to sign DeAndre Hopkins, well, okay, that makes sense to me, so I didn't get too worked up about it. But if TD hadn't told me that an hour before he posted that photo, I probably would have gone nuts. So everybody just assumed he was going to sign with the Patriots. And we've heard Patriots. And yet, TD says the Titans are confident that they're going to sign DeAndre Hopkins. And it's probably because the Titans know that they've made the best offer. They've made the more aggressive offer than New England, which also checks out with the fact that New England is inherently a cheap organization, which was something I couldn't get over. So I think about the offers, and I think, okay, the Titans have made a better offer. DeAndre is in no rush to sign and doesn't have to be in a rush to sign, which is, again, something we need to remember here. If Mike Vrabel's first statement on DeAndre Hopkins is going to be that the Titans want players who want to be here, and the Titans have made a better offer than the team that hasn't won anything since Tom Brady left the Patriots, to a team that's got a quarterback in Mac Jones who some people aren't convinced is a starting NFL quarterback, in an organization where players have left lately and are glad to be gone, and a team that doesn't really pay top dollar for players, and an offensive coordinator that told him to stop bringing his baby mamas around and compared him to Aaron Hernandez? That's just one thing I'm keeping in the back of my mind here. Business is business. And so I'm not going to say, DeAndre's greedy or DeAndre's holding out for every last dollar or DeAndre for sure doesn't want to come here, because I don't know what the offer is. All I know is it's more aggressive than the Patriots. But if all the talk's true, and Pac-Man Jones is boys with DeAndre, and Pac-Man has said, if DeAndre was just going to sign, he would have signed with the Patriots. If that's the case and the Titans offer's better, and I'm Mike Vrabel, and I'm thinking about this, I am keeping in the back of my mind, does DeAndre Hopkins really want to be here? Now, I don't have a problem with DeAndre Hopkins being a mercenary. I don't have a problem with the hired gun. I watched Darrelle Revis do it when I was up in New Hampshire with the Patriots. And he's a pretty good player. And Revis didn't care about a Super Bowl ring. He didn't even go to the ring ceremony. All he cared about was getting paid. But if you are going to say we want guys who want to be here, and you've made a better offer than a team with Mac Jones at quarterback, with an offensive coordinator that DeAndre Hopkins used to hate, reportedly, in Bill O'Brien, in a division with Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, and all those weapons in Miami. If that's the case, and the leader in the clubhouse is still the Patriots, then he does not want to be here. But we don't know that the Patriots are the leader in the clubhouse. We don't know if the Patriots have made a good offer. We don't know what the Titans' offer is. But that's the latest. Don't get too worked up again by this Reese reporting. Then again, the Titans have been more aggressive to this point in regards to the offer. It's like New England, when they say a deal's got to get done on Bill's terms, which Albert Breer reported, when they say a deal's got to get done on Bill's terms, my guess is Bill's probably not moving off of that. So that's where we are. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. We'll get to your phones today. Now, I spent that whole first segment telling you all that I have no idea what the Titans' offer is, and neither do you, by the way. So this idea of, he said that they were better and they were, this and this offer's more aggressive and this is it. Before we get in, I've told you, I don't know what the offer was. But I do have an idea what the offer was. We'll get to that next. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Stillman and Company, 1025-1063 The Game.
Every day we are live and local.
It will help them get better players. I'm really excited about this defensive front.
And your source for Nashville sports.
They had missed the playoffs.
Those players may end up being practice squad guys.
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
There's nobody on the planet who's as picky when it comes to diamonds as Genesis Diamonds owner Boaz Ramon.
I'm very, very selective on the diamond that I pick.
Indeed, Boaz will look at 2,000 diamonds on the world market and find maybe 2 or 3 that meet his criteria.
What most people don't know, and even jewelers, a diamond has much more than the 4 C's. He has maybe 20 C's.
Like the diamond's luster grade or brilliance level, its feathering, its inclusions, its table, its polish, its symmetry, even the diamond's own DNA or X-ray report, which most jewelers don't even know about.
I refuse to sell diamonds that don't go through our very, very strict criteria.
Which means a Genesis diamond is one she can be proud to wear, with the most sparkle and brilliance and real intrinsic value.
This is my goal, to go all over the world and find only the best hand-selected diamond.
Genesis Diamonds, setting the highest quality standards in the jewelry business. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Sometimes you want a sure return on your investment. That's where CDs come into play. At F&M Bank, they've been providing smart choices to customers for over a century, including CDs that are a great way to save. You make a deposit and collect the earnings on your terms. Great rates, predictable results, and backed by the Federal Deposit Insurance Company. That's smart banking. Life is complicated. Banking shouldn't be. So go see them at one of their 20 locations across Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky, or online at myfmbank.com. F&M Bank. Banking made easy on purpose. Member FDIC.
We're changing the game. I'm Michelle Knezovic. Help your bets stay hot this summer with Superbook Sports, the most trusted name in sports gambling, with a direct line to Las Vegas. And now when you use the promo code THEGAME, you can score up to $250 with their first bet bonus. Win or lose, Superbook will match your first bet up to $250 with the promo code THEGAME. Download the Superbook Sportsbook app and enter the promo code THEGAME, and you'll get $250 courtesy of Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
At Lowe's, we're always bringing pros more ways to save. Right now, get up to 40% off select bathroom faucets and vanities. Plus, buy Southwire Romex Simple 12-gauge indoor wire at our everyday low price of $109. Head to your local Lowe's or visit us at Lowes.com for more deals you can't beat. Because Lowe's knows savings, Lowe's knows pros. Valid 7/6 through 7/12 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. U.S. only.
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025thegame and on Instagram at 1025thegame Nashville.
Hey!
Oh yeah, and like us on Facebook too. You're listening to Stillman and Company on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
We got a little news coming out about DeAndre Hopkins. We're being told now, AJ, that the Patriots and Titans have offers on the table for DeAndre Hopkins, and the Titans have been more aggressive in their pursuit of D-Hop than the Patriots are. Now, is that just natural because Bill Belichick runs things in New England? We're not going to be too thirsty, and maybe the Tennessee Titans' new GM obviously need a weapon after the A.J. Brown trade a year ago, and they sent him to Tim McGraw.
Right.
Are they more? What do you think here? I think him at the Titans makes a lot of sense, especially if you're a Titans fan or a Titans GM, AJ Hawk.
Yeah, it does. But if you're D-Hop, which place gives you the best chance to win a ring this year?
Yeah, and is it neither of those places? He's kind of waiting on another place maybe to make an offer.
There you go. That was Pat McAfee. And that's the news about DeAndre Hopkins. Now, the thing is until today, I believe all the offices around the NFL for the most part were closed. So, yeah, like they could do business, but they're trying to not do business. I think I heard on the Titans podcast that Mike Vrabel was going to be in Utah. So it's like, say everybody's got to take vacation. I was on the beach in Tampa-ish area, St. Pete this weekend. By the way, beautiful beach. And I don't understand this whole thing about, St. Pete Beach and I never hear anybody talk about going there. I went there because the Braves were playing the Rays, and it was freaking gorgeous. And I've never heard about people going down there, and I will be going down there more often now. But I digress. So there's no, there was no expectation the deal was going to get done last week. But so we hear that the offer the Titans have made is more aggressive. We don't know how much more aggressive it is, and we don't know, again, when it comes to the Titans or the Patriots, what their actual offer is. But I'm going to tell you what I think the current situation is. DeAndre Hopkins was set to make $19 million in cash this year from the Arizona Cardinals. He was open to a trade, and Arizona was trying to do whatever it would take to trade him. Nobody was interested. The Chiefs wanted to offer a deal at $3 million, and DeAndre thought about it, and then when Odell Beckham signed for $15 million, DeAndre thought, okay, well, that deal's off the table. Nobody is offering the $15 million deal that Odell Beckham got, or else I think DeAndre would have taken it. Especially given DeAndre's thread last week where he talked about how, I think I can play till I'm 37 years old. I could feel the anxiety that he had in not wanting to know, where he was going to go. So here's what I think the Titans have done. Mike Reese threw this out there. Again, same guy that reported that the Titans offer was more aggressive than the Patriots offer about a month ago, floated out the idea of $10 million plus $2 or $3 million in incentives. They could get it to about $13 million. My guess is that's probably where the Patriots offer lies, somewhere in that $10 million range. I believe the Titans are in the $11 or $12 million range, plus incentives. So the Titans have basically said, hey, we'll get you to 15, but we've got incentives that are going to be to get you there. And this must be why the Titans, according to TD, are confident that they're going to sign DeAndre Hopkins. Because They probably look at it the same way that I looked at it, which was I think his value, and this was by taking, the guys that have played in the NFL and the stats that they had last season, regardless of age, money, contract, anything else, games played. I don't do this thing where it's, DeAndre only played 9 games. If DeAndre had played 20 games, then guess what? He didn't. He played 9. And I have DeAndre's value at $10.875 million. We did the math about 6 weeks ago that got you there. We're not doing it again. Again, $10.875 million is what I think is the fair value for DeAndre. The Titans have probably offered 12 with the ability in incentives to get more. And I think the incentives, there may be, some easy in there and some really hard in there. That's probably why the Titans are confident. Because they know the market value, the street value of DeAndre Hopkins is $10.875. They've offered 12. And they're looking around the league, and they're probably thinking nobody else out there is going to be willing to offer this kind of money. So we like the offer we've made. We're going to sit on the offer that we've made, and this is what we're going to do. And if DeAndre thinks that all this talk about, he may go to the Patriots, or if he thinks that the idea that, somebody might get hurt in training camp, or he may wait, if he thinks that's going to be something that moves us, we don't expect anybody else to offer what we've offered. And so even though there's nothing in terms of credible reporting that has told me how much money the Titans have actually offered, it's almost like a game of guess who. Like, does your person have freckles? Does your person have blue hair? Does your person have earrings? And you keep knocking down each guy or gal until you figure out who it is. When it comes to the Titans, I know they didn't offer DeAndre some Scarbini contract because DeAndre would not have come if that's what the Titans were willing to offer, just like Kansas City was willing to offer $3 million. So I know that the Titans offered DeAndre a real contract. And I know that the Titans, put their best foot forward when it came to recruiting DeAndre Hopkins because everybody's kind of talked about it, right? He posted it, and Tannehill talked about getting to spend time with DeAndre and his girlfriend. And even though they flew him on Southwest, which is kind of embarrassing, and by the way, Southwest Airlines really needs to step their game up. But as all of those things were going on, I said, okay, they offered him a real contract. But they didn't offer him Odell's contract because I think he would have signed Odell's contract. I think if you had put $15 million guaranteed in front of him, forget about this, like Odell's contract is 15 with the ability to make 18. Forget about that. I'm not worried about that. If you had offered him 1 year 15, I think he would have taken it. So you haven't offered 15. I think they've offered about 12. I think that they've offered about 12 with probably 2 or 3 million in incentives. And it's like I told you that I talked to a former general manager in the NFL, and I asked that former general manager who thinks the Titans should sign DeAndre Hopkins. And I asked the former general manager, I said, all right, if you were the Titans, would you bite the bullet and would you spend the $15 million? Would you spend the $15 million? Just, suck it up. You're offering 12-ish. Let's operate under that assumption that you're offering $12 million. Would you pay the $15 million and just suck it up and eat the extra $3 million and say, hey, at least we've got a second receiver next to Treylon Burks? The anxiety of what is going to happen at receiver is gone. Is that worth $3 million? And the former general manager told me no. That he would not up the offer. And so the more I've thought about it, the more I think that's what the Titans are offering. And I do think, we've talked about this, let's say that the Titans are at 12.5. I was at 12.5. When DeAndre Hopkins visited, I told you guys, and I probably would have lost. Like, I probably would have screwed this up. But I told you guys 12.5. And I would have sat there with DeAndre and I would have offered him the contract and I would have said the second you walk out of here, this contract offer is gone. And I believe that if you run your team like that once you do that, there's no going back. So once you do that, once you say, hey, this offer's gone, you have to do it or else nobody will ever take you seriously again. So I probably would have lost out on Hopkins. But I would have offered 12.5. And then when we got into talking about, okay, should they just offer the 15? I almost think they have to do it because they've missed their opportunity to be able to go and add a wide receiver through free agency or the draft. If they had signed Mac Hollins, for instance, the number 2 last year with the Raiders, who I believe signed a 1-year, $2.5 million contract with the Falcons. If the Titans had signed Mac Hollins, I would have a totally different viewpoint as far as the DeAndre sweepstakes are concerned, as far as my desire to add DeAndre. If you remember, in 2021, I was adamantly against Julio Jones. Now, Julio had more health concerns, in my opinion, than DeAndre did, and it wasn't just the hamstring. Remember, Julio had foot injuries and had dealt with a lot of stuff in Atlanta. But I was adamantly against the Julio deal. And do you remember who the number 2 wide receiver of the Titans was? The reason why I said, no, they're fine. Now, they had A.J. Brown, and I like Burks, and I think Burks is going to have a good season, but right now he's not A.J. Brown. But the number 2 wide receiver was Josh Reynolds. And Josh Reynolds is a fringe number 2 wide receiver. He's probably a 3. And in Detroit, he's kind of the 3-4. But I said, look, Josh Reynolds has earned the opportunity to be a number 2 receiver. So you got A.J. Brown, got Josh Reynolds, on you go. I was fine with that. But they don't even have that Josh Reynolds here. So I think the deal's in the $12 million range with incentives. And I still think 15 gets it done. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to weigh in. 615-737-1025. One of the hardest things to do. It's easy to look at somebody else's job. It's easy to look at somebody else's family, somebody else's relationship, and tell them what to do. It's very easy to do that. One of the harder things is to admit your own mistakes. Could the Titans be put in a situation where maybe they'll have to admit their own mistake? And will they be willing to do it? We'll get to that next. 615-737-1025 if you want to weigh in. 615-737-1025. Let's talk a little Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. That's right. By the way, it was hot this past weekend. It's going to be hot this week as well. And my friends at Hiller are keeping you chilling all summer with special deals to keep you relaxed and happy. Tackle those necessary home system replacements this month to take advantage of these special deals. Like when you purchase a select new HVAC system, you'll get 2 Yeti Trailhead camping chairs, a Yeti Panga 28L waterproof backpack, a Yeti Tundra 75, and 2 Yeti tumblers for free. And get special freebies on Yeti products with every new whole home generator or tankless water heater purchase. Stay chillin' all summer long. Call Hiller today. Hiller's work is backed by the Happy You'll Be Your Services Free guarantee, and I know this because I use Hiller at my home. Hiller offers convenient, quick online booking so you can select the appointment time that works for you, get an instant confirmation, and the deals are only happening for a limited time, so make sure you call today. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Preds, the Vols, and Vandy. Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Every day we are live and local.
I think Vanderbilt is steady, disciplined.
It's been so long since Tennessee's gotten out of the first weekend.
And your source for Nashville sports.
I don't mind going to another team.
You want to know what the coaching staff's going to look like.
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, what's up? It's Chase McCabe here for PhD Weight Loss. I wanted to do something about my weight and my health, and so that's why I gave PhD a call. Dr. Ashley Lucas is the brainchild behind it. She's a best-selling author. She has put this entire program together, and everything is tailor-made just for you because we are all different individuals. You know, for me, I'm averaging about 3 pounds per week on this program, and I'm down about 15 pounds overall since I started the program. I have one-on-one coaching sessions with my coach. The program is tailor-made just for me with customized meal plans. The food is really good. The soups, the shakes, I like it all. And you can also eat your own food as well. But 85% of that food will be provided for you. Here is their offer guarantee. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight by the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. That is their offer to you. MyPhDweightLoss.com is the website. That's MyPhDweightLoss.com.
This is Evan Bass for the Tennessee Men's Clinic. For most of us, sex is a big part of our relationship. So when something like erectile dysfunction starts affecting intimacy, it can be a real problem. But what you may not know is that ED doesn't just affect you, it can be tough on your partner as well. Plus, if you have ED, you know how it can make you feel. The truth is, we see a lot of guys who have depression, frustration, and even relationship issues because of ED. But we don't want ED to impact you or the one you love anymore. The Tennessee Men's Clinic tackles ED. Our urologists and medical providers take a comprehensive approach and have treated thousands of men with treatments that are successful in nearly 90% of cases. Even if your hormones are off, or if pills, wave therapy, or other treatments have left you hanging, the Tennessee Men's Clinic will work hard to help you get your sex life back, perhaps performing like you haven't in a long time. So call us. Your first appointment includes blood work and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. We have 2 offices in Midtown and Franklin.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra, results vary.
More than 80 million Americans depend on AM radio for their news, traffic, weather, sports, and a community connection. It's the backbone of the emergency alert system, keeping us safe in dangerous times. It's critical that we keep AM radio in cars, because when cell and internet services are down, this free emergency service could be your only lifeline. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Your Nashville Sounds return from the All-Star break Friday at Louisville.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Sounds win.
Pre-game at 6 o'clock.
On your home of Nashville Sounds baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey Nashville, this is Penny Hardaway, University of Memphis coach. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The DeAndre Hopkins thing, I think they could be more aggressive. I think it's a deal that they could get done and make happen, and I think they should go ahead and finish the deal, land that plane, so to speak.
Would you, all right, I'm going to put you in Rand Carthon's shoes. Would you just give him the $15 million and be done with it?
Honestly, I probably would. I would have entered into this situation not fully with doing that, but I would do it at this point, being as okay, look, I'm this close. Let me go ahead and seal the deal.
There you go. That was TD on our show talking about, you know what, I think I would push it across the end zone in order to get the DeAndre Hopkins deal done. And that's where the Titans sit right now. According to Mike Reese, ESPN, the Titans have made a more aggressive offer than the Patriots. Again, don't let that phrasing confuse you. More aggressive does not mean it was an aggressive offer. It just means it was more aggressive than the Patriots, a franchise that is notorious for how cheap their offerings normally are. So Mark Dominic, former NFL general manager, is on SiriusXM NFL Radio, and he was talking about the situation that DeAndre Hopkins finds himself in. Remember, DeAndre knows that he was suspended last year. DeAndre knows that he was injured and had a down year in 2021. And DeAndre, according to Albert Breer, at the very beginning of this, was working on a deal with the Chiefs that would have seen him take a massive, massive pay cut. And then Odell Beckham's $15 million contract, which really isn't so much about Odell Beckham. It's really more what I call the Lamar tax, in order just to make Lamar happy. Hey, Lamar, you can say that you won because we got your receiver. That blew it up. And so now DeAndre is sitting there looking at the stats that he has put up, which are pretty good, and the ability that he thinks he has. And remember the Chad Graff stat from The Athletic that we've been talking about for a while, which is the 7 games that DeAndre played last year with Kyler Murray, there was no receiver that was more productive in the NFL than DeAndre. And I'm not saying this to pump DeAndre's stock up or anything like that. I'm just telling you that's probably where he's coming from. He's not asking for $25 million, which is the going rate for a number 1 receiver right now. He's asking for 15. Here's what Mark Dominic said DeAndre Hopkins is probably thinking and assessing right now.
I see where Hopkins is trying to hold tight.
Like he's like, hey, look, I'm gonna get my money. Like you guys can keep trying to pay me, 8, 9, 10, whatever it is. I want my 13, 14, 15. And so that's why I think he's fighting for what he feels like he deserves. And again, he's not missing anything anyway. So you might as well sit out there and kind of see what the market brings. And even if you sit out for a couple weeks into the training camp, you can do that, knowing that you still have two clubs that are still trying to figure out how to fit you in and might continue to start to, bend a little bit, if not break, and say, you know what, let's do it.
Okay. Now, remember, Dominic's a former general manager, so I think he's been there and he's done that. I believe the Titans knew that they had a massive hole at wide receiver, that when they released Robert Woods, and they should have released Robert Woods, that they knew that they were going to have to do something at receiver. The idea that Tim Kelly told me during minicamp or OTAs or whenever it was, that he thinks they have enough because Racey McMath made one catch last year against the Cowboys is completely foolish. I think the Titans knew entering the offseason they had to fix the receiver position. I think they knew entering the draft that they had to fix the receiver position. That's why they went and visited with Zay Flowers and brought him in for a visit and brought in Quentin Johnston, these other wide receivers. But when the board, roll the dice, play the board, when the board didn't necessarily fall their way and they ended up with Skoronski because 11 would have been too rich in order to pick a receiver in this class, and then they got back into the second round, and Will Levis was still there, and I don't know where they had him graded, but quarterback always goes before any of the other positions. Now they're out. Now they do not have a receiver, and they got to figure it out some way and somehow. And the only guy out there is Hopkins. So I think the Titans went into this knowing that they had issues at wide receiver. They wanted to address it in the draft, but then the board did not fall their way. They've also got a rookie general manager and a coach who's never been empowered at this level before. And deep down inside, I think part of that is those guys always got to live by the board. And part of it, too, I think, is the fact that they've been trying to find the heir apparent to Tannehill for the last couple of years. So now they enter into the post-draft process of the offseason, knowing they need a wide receiver. Only one wide receiver comes available, which was a total miscalculation by Mike Vrabel, because Mike Vrabel told you, the fans, after the draft, that, oh, no, they're still going to let us sign guys. They're still going to let us trade for guys. They're still going to let us. We're going to open up salary cap space. We're going to find a way. But nobody's been out there except DeAndre. He's the only guy. He's the only guy out since the draft that's really been a starting receiver that's out there. So when I say one of the hardest jobs is to admit your own mistakes, and I am certainly included in that. I've screwed up a lot of stuff. And one of the things that I'm really proud of is that I'm pretty good at admitting my own mistakes. Like, I'm really good at saying, I screwed that up, I got that wrong. Or, for some people, the two hardest words to say in the English language, I'm sorry. I'm pretty good at that. But not everybody's like that. Not everybody can be objective about their work, and not everybody can. And I don't know. Can Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel, when it gets out there, and you heard what Dominic said in that cut, where he talked about how can they get these teams to crack, that these two teams have already offered, can they get out there to training camp, look at their receivers and say, fine, we got to do it. Can the Titans do that? Or will this be like last year? I don't know if you guys remember this last year, but John Robinson, and I know he's not the general manager anymore, but he was the general manager at the time. John Robinson did an interview last year at training camp, and after maybe a couple of weeks, and the receivers, Kyle Phillips had a nice training camp, and Racey McMath had a good training camp, in large part because he went up against Caleb Farley every day, but he had a nice training camp. And so John Robinson was talking about, everybody was all worried about the wide receivers, and I guess it doesn't look like that. It's easy to say that when we're not hitting. It's easy to say that when we're not wearing pads. It's easy to say that when it's Caleb Farley and no pass rush to go get the quarterback. But when you're playing, I don't know, Micah Parsons, and they've got Trayvon Diggs at corner, it's not that easy anymore. You need receivers. And last year you didn't have receivers. Well, this year, can the Titans get to training camp and give themselves a true self-evaluation and say, even if it's early on, our offseason wasn't good enough? I mean, I have the same questions, not just about the receiver position with DeAndre, but when it comes to Andre Dillard. They've signed him to play left tackle. They drafted Peter Skoronski to play left guard. I think there's a really good chance that Peter Skoronski is a better tackle than Andre Dillard. If they get out there, do the Titans, are they going to be able to say, boy, we screwed that up. We better figure something out now. We switch them, move Dillard over, do something. And I don't know. I mean, after the whole Kevin Byard pay cut thing, I don't think Rand Carthon thought he was in the wrong, even though he completely screwed that up. So I don't know if the Titans will be able to look at themselves in the mirror at training camp. If DeAndre is still out there and he's not signed, I don't know if they'll be able to look themselves in the mirror and say, okay, we don't have enough, raise the offer. Phillips and McMath, it's not enough, raise the offer to DeAndre, get him in here. And I want DeAndre signed before camp. But it's looking like that may go the other way. Texter says, Andy, phone line driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com, 615-737-1025 if you want to weigh in. Andy says, I would lock DeAndre Hopkins up for a 2-year deal at $13 million a season. Would the 2-year contract be the ticket? I think no. I think there's one thing DeAndre Hopkins cares about, that's guaranteed money. So let's just get that straight up. DeAndre cares about guaranteed money. Secondly, I think DeAndre thinks he's still pretty good. And I think he's looking at this upcoming season as a value resetter for himself. So I don't think he's interested in a 2-year deal. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We got more of your phones to get to, 615-737-1025. Plus, talk about one of the most shocking stories. Not that it happened, but who it happened to. I mean, I was absolutely floored by this. We'll get to that next. Stillman & Company, 615-737-1025, 1025, 1063 The Game.
Are you always on the go? We've got you covered. Download the Game Nashville app from your app store and listen to us wherever you are.
Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexroad.
It's Chase McCabe.
Caroline, Willie, D-Mays.
Stillman & Company.
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
Good station. I listen to it all the time.
1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Ray Jeter here with Harness. Are you an experienced superintendent, project manager, foreman, or estimator? Do you possess a unique perspective that sees problems as valuable opportunities? We are an excavations and site utilities contractor. We are actively seeking skilled superintendents, project managers, foremen, and estimators who embrace challenges with a positive mindset. If you embody this mindset, apply today at selectharness.com. Harness LLC, build people, move dirt.
Built upon a solid foundation of cast iron and steel, the Kubota LO1 series is part of our tractor lineup, rated #1 in durability and owner experience. They feature powerful Kubota diesel engines and easy operation. The durable Kubota LO1 series. Talk to your local Kubota dealer today to schedule a demo. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Visit Coleman Tractor, your local Kubota dealer in Clarksville, Nashville, Paris, and White House.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
When it comes to Chase McCabe,
The Nashville Predators, the Titans, the NBA, college football, talk a little racing.
you get a little bit of everything.
But hey, you know what? We're getting it done.
Join Chase McCabe weekday mornings at 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
We're learning more about the hazing allegations within Northwestern University's football program. The Daily Northwestern spoke to a former player who described several sexualized acts in an article published today. The paper says a second player confirmed the details. An independent investigation found hazing allegations to be credible, but a summary of that investigation released by Northwestern yesterday did not share specific hazing incidents. The investigator also found no evidence that coaches knew about the hazing. Still, the report said the coaching staff could have uncovered what was happening with better oversight. Head football coach Pat Fitzgerald is now on an unpaid 2-week suspension. And the team's Camp Kenosha preseason training is also canceled. And a staffer who does not report to the coaches will monitor the football locker room. Northwestern will also create an online student-athlete reporting tool. And players and coaches will attend mandatory anti-hazing training. Tonight, in a statement shared with ESPN, the team called the hazing allegations exaggerated and twisted. The team begins practice in August.
There you go. That was a news report from Chicago with the latest Northwestern football story. Now, I can't wait to have Trevor on tomorrow to talk to Trevor about this, but I was freaking floored by this Northwestern football story that was reported by the Northwestern student paper. Those were Northwestern students that broke a humongous story that I think was, to me, almost earth-shattering in college football. Now, look, I understand Northwestern's not Ohio State, but it's a Big Ten program, and it's been a program that's actually been kind of good lately. And Pat Fitzgerald, the coach, I mean, when we talk about what Clark Lee's doing at Vanderbilt, like, that's the model, is to be like Northwestern and Pat Fitzgerald and what they've been. He's an alum of the school. He's an alum of the program. They win. They play in big games. You know, they're never going to compete for the national title, but it's respectable. And this story about hazing and forcing people to, you know, chug these Gatorade shakes and naked freshman center exchanges and all kinds of stuff, you can read it on your own. This comes out over the weekend. And I was floored. I was floored by the school, it being Northwestern. I was floored by the coach, it being Pat Fitzgerald. And I didn't even know that Pat Fitzgerald had been suspended for 2 weeks. So all of a sudden, I'm reading about this story, and I'm reading that the president of the school said, you know what, I screwed up. We talked about this in the last segment. It's hard to say I'm sorry. And the president of the school is sitting there, and he said, look, I spent too much time. We launched an investigation, and I spent too much time focusing on what the investigation concluded, which is that Fitzgerald didn't know, than I did the reality that Fitzgerald should have known. Now, I was shocked again because it was Northwestern. Now, my conclusion, and again, this comes without having seen the actual investigation, and I believe the reason why the whistleblowers went to the Northwestern paper, which, by the way, this has been confirmed and confirmed again by several different outlets, talking to several different players, including ESPN. But the reason why is because Northwestern was going to keep the investigation public or private. They weren't going to release it to the public, and I don't know if they're going to or not. I think they kind of have to now. But they were going to keep the investigation private. They were going to keep it in-house. They were going to give Fitzgerald a 2-week no-pay suspension. Fitzgerald probably would have lost, $400,000 or something like that, and on they go. And the players that were appalled by this said, no, that's not enough. We're going to make this public. I think Pat Fitzgerald's probably going to lose his job. And I know many of you out there are going to tell me that, and I understand, I know that many of you are going to say, how can you fire a coach when he didn't know? Because I think we can all agree that, especially in this day and age, if the investigation were to come back that Pat Fitzgerald knew, and it's hard to not have proof that somebody knew about something. Like, we all know that Urban Meyer knew about his assistant coach assaulting his wife. Now, Ohio State chose to look the other way, but we all knew that Urban knew. It's hard to plead ignorance in today's world. But even if you do, that's not an excuse. And I talked to an athletic director about this, and he was like, look, I got 20-something programs that I'm in charge of. And, that all these things, if something happens and I don't know about it, it's my fault. And I thought about it, it's not just a football coach. Isn't that every CEO, period? If you're the CEO of Jif Peanut Butter, and all of a sudden every batch of Jif Peanut Butter has cyanide in it, then doesn't the buck stop with you? You know he's not in the lab. He's not in the factory watching them make the Jif peanut butter, but he's the CEO. The buck stops with him. That's what's going to happen to Pat Fitzgerald, and it probably should. If this was going on in the locker room, this systemic punishment and hazing and whatever you want to call it, if that was going on in the locker room at Northwestern, and Pat Fitzgerald didn't know about it, shouldn't that be an issue? Shouldn't that be? Dude, what are you doing? Take your head out of your ass. So, again, and I will admit that I only know what's been reported. And I haven't done a deep dive, and I am interested to hear what Trevor has to say about all this tomorrow when he joins us on the program. But I think Pat Fitzgerald's probably going to lose his job. I lived it with Rick Pitino when those hookers went into the dorm, and Rick Pitino said that he didn't know. And I believe Rick Pitino when he says that he didn't know about it, because I didn't know about it. And in Louisville, everybody talked about everything. And that was when I was there as a student. So the fact that I didn't know makes me feel like Rick Pitino probably didn't know. When they offered the $100,000, Rick Pitino said he didn't know. He took a polygraph. And the whole time that Rick Pitino was pleading innocence, I just kind of had my arms crossed like, Rick, you're a multi-million-dollar basketball coach. There is some level of responsibility that you have to accept. And I think Pat Fitzgerald is in the same spot with Northwestern, so I think he's probably going to lose his job. I think he probably should lose his job. I don't think he's a bad guy or a bad coach. I don't think that they should blackball him from coaching. But this is a mess. And there are certain places where things like this just can't happen. Northwestern's one of them. Northwestern will lose over its reputation. Ohio State won't. Florida won't. LSU won't. But Northwestern will. Texter into the text line says, wasn't the Northwestern president at one point the president at Vandy at one time? I think you're getting that confused, Texter, with the other college story of the weekend. Did you guys see this? Bobby Huggins. So Bobby Huggins, who has had about 85 chances over his 30-year career, does not treat people well, hadn't won any basketball games lately, by the way, either. But, he's got a history of issues. Bobby Huggins gets that DUI in Pittsburgh after he had already gotten in trouble for being homophobic on the radio in Cincinnati. He got a DUI in Pittsburgh. He didn't even know he was in Pennsylvania when he got the DUI in Pittsburgh. Bobby Huggins resigns, which was inevitable at West Virginia. They move on. Apparently, Bobby Huggins goes to rehab, and he's now claiming that his wife was the one who emailed his resignation, and that Bobby Huggins wants to be reinstated as coach or he will sue immediately. And all I can say on that, just a small little take there, and I think I speak for everybody with this. And if I don't, I apologize. If you feel differently, then I'm sorry. Bobby Huggins, go away. Like, just go away. You were a good basketball coach 15 years ago. You were a great basketball coach, I want to say something like 25 years ago. But right now, you don't treat people well. You set a horrible example. You got no morals. Clearly, you have your own issues to worry about. Go away. That's how I feel about Bobby Huggins. And that's Gordon Gee, who's the president at West Virginia. So when you say, I think you're getting the two college stories of the week mixed up. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. I've been very positive about the Nashville Predators lately. So positive that apparently on the midday show, they asked Willie how it felt that he and I are almost lockstep with our feelings on the current state of the Predators, and even that made him uncomfortable, apparently. But coming up next, Pred's Twitter and the crying over nothing. It's reached a new level. We'll get to that. Stillman and Company, 615-737-1025. If you want to weigh in, 615-737-1025. Stillman and Company on a Reaction Monday, 1025-1063 The Game.
The offseason is in full swing, but there's no slowing down ESPN's Teron Davenport.
The flow of information.
He talks the talk.
Spears gives you that guy that can still hit the home run.
And walks the walk.
As a run blocker, he's going to murder a linebacker at the second level.
On Everything Titans, TD is on Mondays at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast. TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey, Tennessee, we're Zen Sports, the new sportsbook in town. We listen to your feedback on our competitors, so we designed Zen Sports just the way you wish. Set favorites, search and sort bets, and earn real cash rewards, saving you time and money with every bet you make. Find the bets you want, not those distracting bets that seem too good to be true but rarely are. Best of all, withdraw your winnings in under 24 hours, so take control of your bets, because with Zen Sports, betting just got better. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 and up and in Tennessee to bet.
There are ordinary hotels, and there's the Four Seasons. There are ordinary cars, and there's the Rolls-Royce. There are ordinary handbags, and there's Gucci. There are ordinary engagement rings, and there's Genesis. A Genesis diamond ring is unlike any other. Artistic, innovative design, handcrafted precision, exceptional detail and quality. This is why people who work at other jewelers come to Genesis for their rings. A Genesis ring is considered the gold standard in bridal, with no compromises, no cut corners, nothing short of perfection. We have the look, the style every woman dreams about. At Genesis, you'll find dozens of exclusive world-class bridal designers who are revered for their attention to detail, exceptional vision, and superior craftsmanship. A Genesis ring rises to the occasion, reflecting her style, her unique personality, her confidence, her individuality. In a world filled with ordinary, for this moment, choose extraordinary. Choose Genesis. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, and Cool Springs.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Bobby and Rex Road. Chase McCabe.
Caroline, Willie, D-Mays.
Stillman and Company. Nashville's best sports talk.
Crank it up.
102.5 and 106.3.
Rebound on the score.
Make every play perfect.
Touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
We're going to win the game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff.
You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live, thanks to Superbook Sports, live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. So I was out on Friday, and Caroline and Junie did a fantastic job, but I was out on Friday, and so, you know, we get these emails, Ian, David's in for Ian today, but we get these emails from Ian or David or, the fine producers of this program after the show's over, a couple hours, just kind of what was talked about. And I got the email on Friday. I was at the Braves-Rays game, but I looked at my email and I clicked it and I saw this talk about Matt Duchene's comments. So then I figured, okay, well, the topic was on Matt Duchene's comments. What did Matt Duchene say? So last night, I'm flying back from Tampa. And as I'm flying back from Tampa, I'm listening to the whole 13-minute Matt Duchene introductory press conference with the Dallas Stars. Now, let me just state for the record, I do not care about Matt Duchene anymore. If Matt Duchene scores 50 goals next year, good for Matt Duchene. I honestly think that Matt Duchene kind of got a little raw end of the deal anyways. Now, not that I have a problem with what they did, but I do not care about Matt Duchene. I've moved on, and so has Barry Trotz, by the way. So then I listened to the whole 13-minute press conference, and I texted Robbie Stanley, and I said, Robbie, what did Matt Duchene say? What did I miss? What was it that Matt Duchene said that was such a big deal? And Robbie sent me a tweet that just had the quote out of context, as always, that had the quote out of context. This is from Saad Yusuf, who said, Matt Duchene said that Jamie Benn and Jason Robertson were two guys he talked to first about the prospect of playing in Dallas. Quote, just the opportunity to win. I haven't had too many in my career, ... That's something that's frustrated me behind what I can explain. That's what he said. And I thought, that's what people are upset about. And Robbie said, if you watch the actual press conference, it really wasn't a big deal. Now, I watched the press conference, and I didn't think it was a big deal. But here's the audio of what Matt Duchene said that apparently got people all worked up.
I think just the opportunity to win right away. I haven't had too many in my career. I've been, the second round once, and that's something that's frustrated me beyond I can explain. Just to not have that really good taste. We had a heck of a team that year in Columbus that we could have gone to the finals that year, and so it was even more heartbreaking that it didn't go further. So to be part of this team that's been kind of a perennial, deep in the playoff type team, and a team that's got a lot of guys in their prime, a lot of guys that, guys like Pavelski and Suter who haven't won yet that are that hungry and still at a very high level. It's really exciting to come into. And again, I want to fit in, but I also want to come in and do what I'm, being brought in here to do.
That's what you guys have a problem with? Like, that's what I took 13 minutes out of my life. 13 minutes I'll never get back. That's what you're upset about. Number one, is Matt Duchene wrong about anything he said? Did Matt Duchene ever really have the opportunity to win here? Was any team that he was on ever good enough for them to compete for the Cup? Regardless of whether or not, Matt Duchene was what he was supposed to be, was any one of these teams that he played on good enough? And the answer is no. So he's not wrong. Dallas is really, really good. I think one of the things that got lost, because everybody just had such high expectations after the 2017 Cup run, was that the Predators lost in 6 games to the Stars in 2019. Now, they were 0-15 on the power play, which was completely and totally unacceptable. The Predators' lack of a big boy forward was beyond obvious in that series, and that was where we started to see the decline of PK Subban and Ryan Ellis, and that was where the dam was starting to kind of break. That 2017 team was really just a magic, run that could never be duplicated again. But he's not wrong that he didn't have the opportunity to win here, and Dallas is good. Dallas went to the final the next year in 2020. Dallas was in the Western Conference Finals this past year. They've got a 23-year-old big boy forward in Jason Robertson. They got Tyler Seguin, Jamie Benn. The Dallas Stars are good. Their general manager just won GM of the year. The Dallas Stars, they expect to compete for the cup this upcoming season, which you don't. That your general manager has made it clear that he doesn't think you're going to compete for the cup this upcoming season, and we're all okay with that because we believe the same things too. So, number one, Matt Duchene's not wrong about what he said. Number two, who cares? He's not on the Predators anymore. You fired him. So I would expect him to have at least a little resentment towards the Predators. So when I saw the email and it said Matt Duchene comments, I thought to myself, I'm sure Matt Duchene did take a couple of swings at the Predators. I can understand why Matt Duchene would want to take a couple of swings at the Predators. He got fired. Aside from the money, which he already has enough of and is going to be getting paid plenty of, except for that, that's embarrassing what happened to him. When a team that has very little offense and not a ton of NHL caliber forwards tells you, hey, I know we have you for the next 3 years, but we don't want you. And he's looking at the depth chart thinking, wait a minute. You don't want me. Who's going to score on this team? Yeah, we'll figure it out. You don't want me. And we've told you why they don't want Matt Duchene. They don't want him because they don't want him around the young guys. They fired Matt Duchene, the guy. In sports, we oftentimes talk about, hey, man, it's not personal, it's personnel. But in the case of Matt Duchene, I think it was personal. I think Barry Trotz did not like the personality of Matt Duchene, did not think it was a building block type personality, and decided he's out. Just the same way Barry Trotz told us that he wasn't totally sold on Dante Fabro when he took this job. But then being around the team and watching Dante Fabro play, he felt like, you know what? Let's give Dante Fabro another shot. I kind of like him. The opposite was with Duchene. He was around the team. He saw Duchene. He's like, get this guy out of here. So they did. But in the 13 minutes, Matt Duchene didn't say anything bad about the Predators. I mean, I'm not the biggest Matt Duchene fan in the world. He's always been a good talker. We interviewed him the day he signed with the Predators. And so many people after that interview, because remember, you guys were fired up about that. You thought you were getting a big boy forward because David Poile had told you that with his actions. Now, he was wrong, but that's okay. Not going to cry over spilt milk around here. But I remember that interview we did. And so many people were like, dude, that's one of the best interviews I've heard. And I'm like, well, it's because of him. It's because he opened up and was honest. And me and Floyd just asked questions that we knew that you wanted answers to. So we asked him, and he talked about it. And he was, sounded open and honest and got people excited. And that's what leads to, oh, that was a great interview. It wasn't me. It wasn't Floyd. It was him. So he's a good talker. Now, what I've heard behind the scenes is that he talks the talk, but then does not walk the walk. And that would truly irritate me if I was there every day. But I listened to the whole thing. He didn't say anything bad about the Predators. He didn't say anything bad about Nashville. He said, look, our roots are in Nashville. Like, I'm excited to be here with the Stars, but, we've planted our roots in Nashville, so that's where we're going to be. So can I just say this to everybody that apparently was boo-hooing about what Matt Duchene said the other day? Dude, move on. Just like I say about Bobby Huggins, go away. If you've got a problem with Matt Duchene, your problem's not about what he said. Your problems are not about what Matt Duchene said when leaving the Predators, which I believe Matt Duchene had every right to say anything he wanted to say. Your issue is with the fact that you feel like he didn't perform to the contract he signed, which is fair. That's a fair problem that you can have with him. But just admit that that's where your anger is coming from. That's where your resentment is coming from. is that he didn't live up to your expectations for him. Not because of what he said about your team, your franchise, your fans, everything. And if we can admit that, then we're all good. But if I'm going to say, if people are really going to get in their feels about what Matt Duchene said, you people need to grow up. I mean, you people, I don't know what, years ago, I don't want to say I got in trouble, because I didn't get in trouble for this, but years ago I took on Pred's Twitter and called him a cesspool. I've taken on Pred's Twitter 1,000 times now to the point to where I almost feel like they don't even get that worked up anymore. Like the fact that they know that like Pred's Twitter is not Vol's Twitter, they get worked up every day. You know, they'll never shy away from a fight. Pred's Twitter, I think, is kind of given up a little bit in terms of challenging me. But years ago, I came on the air one day and I was like, Pred's Twitter is a cesspool. And Ryan Porth, who was our boss at the time, said, dude, why would you say that? And I said, because it's true. You know, it's a handful of people that just stir up, you know, a handful of locals on Twitter, and that's all it is. I mean, only 10% of the people are on Twitter anyways, so it's never a real representation of society or the fan base or anything like that. But it's always like these 3, 4, 5 bobos that just light everybody up about stupid stuff, and it's the same thing over and over and over again. And I told him, I said, it's a cesspool. And he was like, could you just not say that? And I said, fine. So I didn't apologize for calling Pred's Twitter a cesspool. I didn't take it back or anything like that. But I just didn't beat that drum anymore. If you guys are going to be upset about what Matt Duchene said, like if that's something that's going to bother you, that he has an opportunity to win in Dallas, which he does have an opportunity to win in Dallas. If that's going to be what bothers you, you guys got to get out of the cesspool now. You can say whatever you want about Matt Duchene's production. Adam Vingan told all of us before they signed him that he's not really a big boy forward. He told us that. And I said, if you're going to move off PK Subban and you're going to pay all the money and you're going to hype him up and you're going to have the mayor at his press conference and you're going to do all that, then he better be a big boy forward. Not I think he's a big boy forward or I don't think he's a big boy forward. Just that he better be a big boy forward. As the narrator would tell you, he was not. You can be upset about that. Now, I would be more mad about who signed him and who chased after him and who acquired Kyle Turris because at first he couldn't get him. I'd be more worried about that than I would be Duchene himself. I don't think Duchene did anything like that I would say was bad. So you guys have got to bring it down a notch if this is something that really people are worked up about. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. You want to weigh in on that, go ahead, 615-737-1025. And here's the other thing about the Duchene thing that I didn't get to yet, that I want to pick up on the other side, which is that if he said the things that really would have made you mad, instead of just something that apparently made you mad, I think I would have been on his side. We'll get to that next. 615-737-1025 here on Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every day we are live and local.
You need to give Ryan Tannehill a 2-year extension.
There haven't been too many coaching changes for the Predators.
And your source for Nashville sports.
I think that's what the Titans need.
Players who can score.
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Tears for Fears. Live in concert. The Tipping Point Tour Part 2 with special guest Cold War Kids. Tears for Fears. This Tuesday at First Bank Amphitheatre in Franklin, Tennessee. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Part of the Farm Bureau Concert Series.
It's Black Friday in July at Electronic Express.
Get up to 50% off in every department. Don't miss a TCL 65-inch Roku TV for only $349 or an LG laundry pair for just $499 each. Save on computers, appliances, 4K TVs, and more. Get an Acer Aspire laptop for just $199 or a Ring Video doorbell for only $149. Get up to 5 years special financing throughout the entire store. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Want to weigh in on the conversation? It's a brain booster. Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You're listening to Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
When a team tells you they don't want you anymore, it's tough, right? It's business, and the game is the business, but at the same time, the game is who we are as people. I've been a hockey player since I'm 2 years old. That's how I identify. And a lot of us do, and that's the hardest part about retiring from this game is all of a sudden it feels like, you're half of yourself is gone. And so when you're in it, you take it personally. And I was very motivated coming out of last year. I had a tough injury at the end of the year, and didn't get to finish, which I started preparing right away. I didn't really take any time off, and so I was already had that, and then now it's a whole nother level. And
there you go. That was Matt Duchene, and he was just talking about, I'm super motivated and I'm ready to go. And he did not say anything bad, and yet people got mad. Now, I'm going to put the shoe on the other foot here for a second. Deep down inside, I think Matt Duchene probably resents the Predators. Again, after all, they fired him. Most people usually don't like the employer who fired them. But he didn't make anybody believe that he resents the Predators or anything like that. But I'm just going to assume that he does because he probably should. Had he gone up to that podium in Dallas and just unleashed on the Predators, I probably would have been on Matt Duchene's side. Now, I don't know what David Poile saw in Matt Duchene that made him chase after him for 3 years, really 2 years, that made him chase after him for 2 years and put all of his eggs in Matt Duchene's basket. I have no idea what it was. I compared Matt Duchene to an old girlfriend I once had, who I was just over the moon about. And my friends were like, I guess. Like, okay. I don't think she's all that special. I don't think. Even Floyd was like, Yeah, I wouldn't, if I was you, I probably wouldn't, It's and that, the old man usually didn't get into those kind of things with me. So when he said that, I was like, okay, that is how I felt about Matt Duchene and the Predators. I didn't understand, what was the deal with this huge chase? But that's not Matt Duchene's fault. That's your fault. But if I'm Matt Duchene, I am mad at the Predators. And I'll tell you why I'm mad. When I signed a 7-year deal to come play for you, I was recruited and wooed in by Peter Laviolette. I remember the interview we did with Matt Duchene, in which he said that he spent a lot of time talking hockey with Peter Laviolette. Peter Laviolette's a very good offensive coach, regardless of what you want to say about Laviolette. And it's weird because I don't think you guys really like Laviolette that much, and I don't think there was a great connection between Laviolette and the city and the fans and things like that. But Laviolette was a great coach here, and he was a great offensive coach. So Matt Duchene signs up to go play with Laviolette, and halfway through the first season, Laviolette's fired. So I just signed up to play in this system for this coach, and now you fired him, and they replaced him with John Hines. We saw that coming from a mile away. You all wanted to get mad at us for criticizing the hire of John Hines. John Hines is a terrible coach, and he's a terrible offensive coach. So they hire this horrible coach for offensive players. They never gave him a legit center to play with. Hines thought he could motivate Matt Duchene, and so he's dropping him down to the third line. And, so he's moving around different systems. He's playing for different coaches. The new coach is coming in and saying, I'm going to instill this hard work ethic. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be that. Then the Predators, who had given this deal to Matt Duchene, who had rolled out the red carpet for him, who had begged him to come, instantly had buyer's remorse on the deal and showed it. They didn't protect him in the expansion draft. He scores 40 goals for them the next year. And then they buy out his contract. Now, Matt Duchene did not live up to his end of the bargain because he didn't play like an $8 million player. And when I saw that contract that Alex DeBrincat just signed for, I thought to myself, how did Matt Duchene get $8 million 4 years ago? But that's a different story for a different day. If Matt Duchene wanted to be mad at the Predators, if he wanted to look back at his time with the Predators and said, and would say, you guys screwed me, not I screwed you, I think I might be on his side. And this is why I during the week, before the draft, somebody said to me, after they had traded Joe Hansen for pennies on the dollar just to move him on to Colorado, somebody had said to me that I wish they could do the same thing with Duchene. And I said to that person, hold up. I'd like to see Duchene play with Andrew Burnett as the coach. Andrew Burnett is an elite offensive coach. Unlike Laviolette, there is no chance of him getting fired midway through next season. There's no chance of any of that happening, as long as he stays off the golf cart. No chance of any of that happening. Let's see. He's an elite power play coach. I think Andrew Burnett's going to be a great coach here. I think he's got a great personality. I think he understands players, something that I don't think John Hines totally understood. And, Andrew Burnett played in every spot you could play in. I thought that he could relate to the players, really get them pulling the rope in the right direction. And we do know that Duchene has offensive skill. I would have liked to see Andrew Burnett coach Matt Duchene. And that person told me, yeah, no. Just the personality. I understand your strategy, but the personality with Duchene, it'd be better off if he wasn't here around the young players. That's what I heard before they ended up buying him out. So I'm not sitting here telling you that Matt Duchene I'm not telling you that he's innocent or that, that I'm sad that he's gone or anything. I have no feelings about it. They fired him on that Friday, and we're moving on. And that's how I feel. But if he had wanted to, the fact that you guys, or at least some of you, criticized Matt Duchene for what he said when it wasn't that bad, I mean, it almost bothered me to the point that now I'm like, you know what, Matt? If you want to say how you really feel about this organization, go ahead and say it. And here's the one reason. When John Hines got fired, and it wasn't just Hines, it was a lot of things that have bothered me over the years. I wanted them to trade Ryan Ellis in 2018 when his value was sky high. And you can't do that. Hal Gilter, you don't know what you're talking. You cannot trade Ryan Ellis. And I was like, please trade him. And a year later, we're watching him swim around the ice like a goldfish out there. I mean, I wanted that. And so for years, it wasn't just Hines, but it was all of it, right? It was the second-round pick for Lozon. The inability to admit in 2021, even if you do make the playoffs, you're not going to get by Tampa Bay or Carolina anyways, so you might as well sell some of these spare parts and pick up some picks and add to the – no. So it wasn't just Hines. But what really bothered me was how when Barry Trotz showed up and fired John Hines, which I think was kind of a controversial move. Like in the hockey world, there were a lot of people that were like, how dare they fire John Hines? But everybody was just kind of like, yeah, it kind of was. And I wasn't necessarily looking for everybody to say, Jared, you were right. Though it would have been nice. But what I was really looking for was just people to admit that they were wrong. That's all I wanted. Was over this period of time when every day it felt like I was going to war with Predators fans and, about every policy decision that they had made. I just wanted to hear I was wrong. We were wrong about Matt Duchene. We were wrong to fire Laviolette when we did. We were wrong about John Hines. You were right about John Hines. That's all I wanted to hear. Just like I said, I was wrong when the Predators swept the Blackhawks in 2017. Now I was adamant that they were going to get beaten 5 games, and they swept them. So I guess this is my long-winded way of saying if Matt Duchene wanted to take out the anger that I assume he has. I watched that 13-minute press conference. There's no way to know that he has it because he didn't talk about it or there wasn't any of that. But I assume he has it because I probably would have the same kind of resentment that he has after he got fired a couple Fridays ago. I think I would have understood. And instead, people are mad at him for something that he said that wasn't even bad. Goodness gracious. Texter said, I don't often – phone lines, by the way, are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Texter said, I don't agree with you often, but you're spot on about Pred's Twitter. It's the worst. The organization turned soft after the Cup run. I will say this. The Cup run, it was like that President's Trophy year, and for a couple years after that, it was like the organization just farted perfume. And then after that, like after the President's Trophy year in the middle of the 19 year when things looked a little sideways, then it just got very hostile and angry and, oh my goodness. There was like no nuance for the fans to kind of how this all works. 615-737-1025 if you want to weigh in, 615-737-1025 here on the Stillman and Company Show. 1025-1063 The Game. And, of course, you can watch our show streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live thanks to Superbook Sports. Download their app today. Use promo code The Game. And 1025-1063 The Game has a chance for you to win tickets to concerts and sporting events, plus an ultimate staycation that includes Titans tickets, Preds tickets, and a 2-night stay at the Opryland Hotel with access to sound waves. Black Tide Moving delivers the Game Summer Ticket Tour. Stillman and Company, 1025-1063 The Game.
All the big plays.
And we are done. Vandy 24-21.
All the big stories.
I'm sure Vandy will be a much better team if Clark Lee is the coach.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 1025 and 1063.
What a stop by UC Sarah.
Then he wouldn't end up on my team.
Driving his way to victory lane.
I think that's the right strategy.
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hear that? That's Jeff Anderson. He's that guy in your neighborhood that's always making improvements to his house, his car, his yard. On your street, it's about keeping up with the Andersons. One thing you don't know is Jeff's tools are from Harbor Freight. Tools at great prices. That circular saw right there, you wouldn't believe the deal he got. Just think, when you're keeping up with the Andersons, you're saving money. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Hang on. It's going to be a wild ride. The PBR team's champions, the Nashville Stampede, are coming home in a run to defend their title.
Yo, we coming.
Stampede Days, August 18th through 20th at Bridgestone Arena. Heart-pounding action you don't want to miss. Tickets start at $20. Get yours today at PBR.com or Ticketmaster.com.
Yo, we coming.
Join us for the ride.
Seems like everything costs more these days. Food, utilities, medical costs, you name it. But as prices go up, our family budget stays the same. Fortunately, with Farm Bureau Health Plan's Core Choice coverage, we can save $3,600 a year compared to the leading competitor. And we've got better coverage with a lower premium, lower deductible, free telehealth visits, and access to one of the largest networks available. Start saving today at FBHP.com or visit your local Farm Bureau office.
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Your Nashville Sounds return from the All-Star break Friday at Louisville. Swing and a miss, strike three. Sounds win. Pre-game at 6 o'clock.
On your home of Nashville Sounds baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey Nashville, I'm Gary Smith, head coach of Nashville SC. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
Again, I think once you look at it and you see the reasons for it, hockey-wise, I'm in a great spot hockey-wise. I feel, I had my best year of my career a year ago. I feel great about that part. So it's, I didn't take it really personally that way. It's just a business thing, and I understand. And, obviously, new GM coming in wants to switch things up and make changes to a team that's had a core together for a while. I mean, it was, if it's just yourself that's out of there, you might take it a little different, but it's half the team, that, and they end up moving on from. So, what made it easy was, just the conversations I had with the team here, with Jim and Pete DeBoer and some of the boys, and then, the other officers we had too were incredible, and people were just so great, and it made it easy to kind of start to turn the page, I guess.
There you go. That was Matt Duchene. I heard that cut, and I laughed. Like, I heard that when I was listening to the press conference yesterday that Matt Duchene had in Dallas, and I laughed out loud because he's talking about, oh, yeah, no, I didn't take it personally. I didn't think it was there. I didn't think it was the. Dude, you should absolutely take it personally. He's acting like the Predators looked at their entire team and just burned it down to the ground, that the Predators just blew it all up. Now, they did trade Ekholm. They did trade Granlund. They did trade Tanner Jeannot. They traded all those guys at the deadline. They shipped off Joe Hansen. But this was not, in my opinion, a mass exodus, the way he's making it sound, right? Like, oh, well, yeah, there was really no reason to take it personally because they did this to the whole team and not just me. They didn't do it to Yossi. They didn't do it to Forsberg. They didn't do it to Sissons. They didn't do it to Trennan. They didn't do it to Saros. They didn't even do it to Fabro or Carrier. They didn't do it to Cody Glass. They did it to you and Joe Hansen. They fired you guys, specifically you. Joe Hansen, at least they found him another job. I mean, they fired you. And I was just listening. Adam Vingan said this to me. I guess Matt Duchene went on the radio in Dallas, and he was asked about kind of his surprise of being let go and what happened. And Matt Duchene said, I couldn't believe this. Matt Duchene said that he had no indication that he was going to get bumped out, and that he found out just minutes before the world found out that his contract was being bought out. Which tells me that big swing Barry Trotz, as open and honest and thorough in answering all these questions and everything else that Barry Trotz is also a silent assassin. Now, again, I was surprised when they bought out Matt Duchene. Hell, Elliot Friedman, who's one of the top insiders in the entire league, went on the midday show, and he said he was shocked that the Predators did that. So I see that. Now Barry has got some freaking assassin killer gene inside of him, which I like. The John Hines thing, I don't think anybody could have been surprised by that. I don't even think John Hines was surprised by that. I think it was Adam Vingan said that he talked to John Hines that day after the Predators let him go. Somebody told me that the season ended, and Barry Trotz said that he was going to evaluate the coaching staff, and then John Hines sat there at home for 7 weeks. I just sat on the couch. What are you doing today, John? I guess I'm getting ready for next season. You going to be coaching Predators? I don't know. But, at least, I think that John Hines probably should have seen the writing on the wall. Apparently, Duchene didn't see any of this. Now, in all fairness, I didn't see any of that coming either. But I'm also not an employee of the Predators. And I did tell you that I was hearing during the week that they did not want him around the young guys. Here's what's crazy is Barry Trotz has never coached Matt Duchene. Barry Trotz shows up in, February that he took the job? My guess is Barry Trotz knew he was probably getting the GM job or that he was going to be working for the team in probably December or November of last year. I remember he went on the Preds official podcast and he was sure to tell them, I just moved back to Nashville. I love it here. It's always been a home for me. It's the best. It's the greatest. And somebody tweeted me and said, Barry Trotz said that he's moved back to Nashville. Do you think that's a coincidence or not? Because there were some rumors that Trotz may end up back in the organization. I said, it's probably just a coincidence that he moved back to Nashville, that he went on the Preds official podcast and within the first 5 minutes told everybody that. Probably not. So I'm going to guess around then, Barry probably knew he was getting the job. He did an interview on NHL Network from his house, and he had a Titan helmet right in the back. It was one of the old white ones. So Barry knew what he was doing. So Barry Trotz, from about December on, knows he's getting the job. We assume. We don't know, but we assume. In February, Barry is for sure getting the job. Barry went on some road trips. They played in February, March, and then the very beginning of April, and the season was over, and Duchene got hurt at the end of the season. I think he lacerated a finger or something like that. He got hurt. Not his fault. The fact that they didn't even call him in, if Duchene's telling the truth, that he didn't know, the fact that they didn't even call him in and say, hey, man, we're a little worried about your effort level. We're a little worried about, the direction that we're taking the club. We need you to be this kind of leader. We need you to be this kind of guy. We really need this out of you. The fact that they hired Andrew Burnett and they didn't think, because they owe Duchene the money no matter what. And this is not a salary cap thing. When I hear that this is a salary cap thing, I try to understand how this is a salary cap thing. Because next year, the next 2 years, it's like a $5 million hit and a $6 million hit instead of an $8 million hit. And it's not like the next couple of years the Predators are going to need the extra $3 million. This is going to be on the cap through 2029. This is going to be constantly something that we're reminded of. Oh, hey, remember, they're still paying Matt Duchene $1.85 million this year, whatever it may be. So it would have been easier just to write it out for the 3 years with Duchene on the team at $8 million a year and just sucked it up and said, well, he's going to score 23 goals, and by the time we're good, he won't be here anyway, so whatever. And they didn't even do that. They weren't even interested in that. They weren't even interested in bringing in a new coach to say, all right, the last coach wasn't a former NHL player. This coach is a former NHL player. The last coach, he had his own personality. This coach has a much stronger personality. Let's see if Barry and Andrew can sit down and talk to Matt Duchene and can go over with Matt Duchene, hey, let's see. Let's see if we'll just, work with him a little bit. Nope. not even a talk, not even a thought that it could happen, that he was as shocked as we were. Unbelievable. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Texter into the text line says, Preds fans that are mad about what Matt Duchene said need to move on. It's that time of the year where there's not as much going on, but at the same time, Predators fans are just looking for a reason to be agitated. I agree. I mean, I like everything they're doing. I like the direction they're in. I have no problem with Matt Duchene. I hope Ryan Johansson does well in Colorado. I'm not going to keep up with it on like a nightly basis and go, wow, Ryan Johansson had an assist tonight. But, I mean, I hope for the best with him. Duchene, I don't, whatever, knock yourself out. That doesn't bother me. And I just think sometimes people, they just want to be mad. And in the case of Duchene, they want to be mad because they were sold inaccurately that Duchene was going to be the savior. And then, after they were sold inaccurately that Duchene was going to be the savior, they got mad that he wasn't. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to weigh in. 615-737-1025 here on the program. Coming up next, I had kind of a experience this weekend that has maybe changed my mind as to what the future may hold for this town. We'll get to that next. 615-737-1025. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
When it comes to Nashville sports,
locking up Jeffrey Simmons, clearly that was a priority for them.
He knows his stuff.
A little bit good, a little bit bad.
And knows how to push the right buttons.
He's coming off an ACL tear, and he's 25 years old, so you cannot ignore that.
Join Outkick's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman and Company. Withrow.
What I hate more than anything is people that are phony and not true to themselves.
Is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormonal deficiencies and imbalances. And Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve your quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit our website at coolspringsmd.com.
Hose and Belting Specialties in Murfreesboro is your local source for hydraulic, air, water, and chemical hoses, along with conveyor, timing, and metric belt needs. They stock metric fittings for both air and hydraulic applications. Hose and Belting Specialties stocks Parker hydraulic hoses and fittings, Goodyear Conti-Tech industrial hoses, and V-belts, just to name a few of their lines. For any of your industrial needs, call 615-895-HOSE, 615-895-HOSE.
For more than a century, AM radio has evolved to meet the needs of our community. In their car, at home, or on the job, more than 80 million listeners depend on AM radio each month. AM radio is also the backbone of the emergency alert system, which keeps us safe in dangerous times. It's reliable, free, and public safety depends on it. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Hey, it's John Tesh. You want to know how to get better rates, better coverage, and better service on your home and auto insurance? Work with Zander Insurance. I know it's a big promise, but this team delivers. They've been around for almost 100 years and have earned the privilege of representing dozens of insurance companies so they can shop, compare, and find you the best options available. More options mean more savings, and in many cases, better coverage. But it doesn't stop there. Each year, they review your coverage to make sure your rates stay competitive. Nobody else does that. And when it comes to service, just check out their ratings. Zander is one of the top agencies in the industry, and they earned that spot with their commitment to making sure their clients are taken care of like family. That's what sets them apart. Go to Zander.com for quick online quotes or call 800-356-1780 for that personal touch that you've been missing.
Jim was at the laundromat when he heard... His ear said, Maraca, senor, but his nose said, hey, freshest scent ever. Following his nose, Jim found a man pouring Gain scent beads into the washer. The scent, the freshness. Jim blurted, sir, your scent Maraca smell amazing. You could call them scent maracas, but most noses call them Gain scent beads. Try Gain scent beads, way fresher than detergent alone.
They combine hard-hitting journalism.
The Titans asked Kevin Byard to take a pay cut.
Strong-willed opinions.
There's hot takes and then there's like weird takes. Yeah. This is a weird take.
And sometimes some old man takes.
I'm excited about it. So do I gyrate embarrassingly?
To create the perfect morning show, they are Robbie and Rex Road. Mornings from 6 to 9. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Manfred said he gets Tampa straightened out, then he's going to expand. The cities in expansion are Nashville, Charlotte, Montreal, Portland, and Salt Lake. I think 2 of the 5 will get a team. And as Rob said, Nashville is on everybody's list. So I think Nashville is going to get a team once they get Tampa straightened out with either a stadium or their whereabouts. And Nashville will get a team. And then I think then it's either going to be Salt Lake, Portland, Montreal, or Charlotte. The advantage of Nashville, you can put them in either conference or either league, or either you can put them in the West or you can put them in the East. Remember, the Predators play in the Western Conference in hockey. So you can put them in the western part of your teams, or you can put them in the eastern part. That's the advantage of. So if you went Portland, you put them in the East. You got to have one of each, right? Is that correct? Yeah, you got to have one of each because you got 30 right now, 15 apiece. So you can't put Nashville in the West and then put Portland in there because you want to have it balanced, 16-16. So you got to put Nashville in whatever conference you decide. And then you got to go the other region of the country for the other one. So if they deem Montreal or Charlotte as the best expansion site, they'll put Nashville in the West. If they deem Portland or Salt Lake City as the best expansion site, they'll put Nashville in the East.
That was Christopher Mad Dog Russo talking about the future of Major League Baseball. Now, I, for one, have been against expansion. I have wanted the Tampa Bay Rays to be the team in Nashville. Because now, when I originally said that that's what had to happen for us to get a Major League Baseball team, I wanted the Rays because at the time, everybody played about 100 games a year against their division. I think it was 19 each. And I figured 9 games at home against the Yankees, 8 games at home against the Red Sox. Like, yes, that would fill up the stadium. For all you people out there that say, can Nashville support a team? Yes. When you get the Yankees and the Red Sox in all the time, yes, you will fill up the stadium. Get the Braves in a couple of times a year, it'll be fine. And if you win, it'll be a popular ticket. Baseball works well enough here that if we had a team and they won, it'd be fine. But here, after this past weekend, I've totally reassessed things. People ask me all the time, Jared, are we going to get a baseball team? I must get asked that twice a week. And, you know, that MLB group that doesn't make any progress and doesn't have any money, they don't help matters when they sit down and do an interview about, oh, yeah, we've got an idea for a team. Do you have any money? No. Do you have a stadium? No. Do you have an owner? No. Has MLB told you you're going to get it? No. But they don't make things any easier for people to understand this. But I've always told people there are certain conditions in order to make this work. This past weekend, I went to Tampa to watch the Braves play the Rays. Been planning it for a couple of weeks. The Rays are one of the best teams in baseball. The Braves are the best team in baseball. And Tampa's stadium is in St. Petersburg, which is 30 minutes away. I mean, it was 30 minutes straight up from the airport to the hotel on St. Pete Beach where I stayed over the weekend. Now, I will say this. I had a great time. St. Pete Beach is beautiful. And St. Petersburg, it's not bad. I mean, the way that I had been led to believe this Tampa Stadium, I've heard people complain about this Tampa Stadium for 10 years. I love this stadium. I thought it was inevitable because the Rays lease is up in 2027. I thought there was a real chance that if Murfreesboro or Williamson County, or it can't be Davidson County, but if one of these surrounding counties got their act together and decided, hey, we want to have a Major League Baseball team and build a humongous complex, in which the Major League Baseball team in our city can reap the benefits of making the money to have the Nashville team in Smyrna or Franklin or wherever. If that was going to happen, this would be the opportunity with the Rays lease ending in 2027 and the city of Tampa and St. Petersburg and Ybor City and all these other places in the Tampa area not being able to find a way to build a stadium or be able to pay for it or whatever. Then I went this weekend. I love that stadium. I mean, it was, I say packed, but it really wasn't because they close off the upper deck unless it's the playoffs in Tampa. But it's the most convenient ballpark I've ever been to. My buddy who I went with, he woke up, he took a nap one day and I wasn't going to wake him up. So we were maybe staying 15 minutes. We were staying on the beach, maybe 15 minutes away from the stadium. And he woke up about 30 minutes before the game. And he got in the shower, and so that probably took him about 10 minutes. We called a car to pick us up at the hotel, take us to the stadium. They dropped us off right in the front door. We walked in right after the national anthem. It was amazing. It's not a bad stadium. And when I walked in, I thought this was going to be the dumpiest dump I've ever seen. I thought it was going to be like Greer Stadium for Major League Parks. It's not that bad. And so I walked out of Tampa this weekend thinking to myself, if that stadium is not good enough for a major league team, then there's no way we can afford to build a stadium here. There's no way. And nobody is just coming to Nashville to come to Nashville, right? The Rams left St. Louis to go to Los Angeles and bought the land for the stadium and built the stadium themselves and paid for the overruns because they wanted to be in L.A. Because the NFL has wanted to get back to L.A. since the second they left. L.A., California, they didn't want it. They're like, hey, you can bring your football team, but we're not paying for it. We cannot do that. We cannot look at Major League Baseball and say, hey, we're not giving you any money. You're going to have to pay for it. So when I hear things like I've heard that Major League Baseball has basically said, if we put a stadium downtown, they'll bring a Major League Baseball team here, I shrug my shoulders and say, well, you're not going to get $1. And I know this because I talk to them. You're not going to get $1 out of the mayor's office or the Metro Council. Like, it's not going to happen. Not for a baseball stadium. So you're going to have to go to a surrounding county in order to make this work. I go to Tampa this weekend. I see that stadium, and it's a little old, and it could use some renovating and everything else, but it's a fine stadium. The problem is it's in St. Petersburg, so they can't draw that many fans unless the Braves or the Yankees are in town. They can't draw that many fans because people from Tampa don't want to go drive to St. Petersburg. Well, if we put a team out in Williamson County or Rutherford County or something like that, I've always said you have to build the big entertainment complex. That's the only way you could have a team here in Nashville. It's the only way. Because if that stadium and that city's not good enough, then just putting a stadium in Williamson County with nothing surrounding it, that's not going to work here. And, I mean, I will tell you, to me, I was wowed. You know, everybody told me all I've ever heard is complaining about that stadium in Tampa. It is not a bad stadium. It is a good stadium. Now, I understand why the Rays don't like it. The Rays don't like it because the big population is in Tampa, which is 30 minutes away, and because there's not that entertainment district around the ballpark where they make the money. And that's the new thing, which is if I'm going to take you all the way out of town, I'm going to take all your money too while I'm at it. And I'm going to keep your money, not I'm going to bring these people here and the local sports bar is going to get the money. No. I get the money. That's what the Braves have done by basically taking themselves out of Atlanta. That's what would have to happen for us to get a Major League Baseball team. And then the Sounds could stay in Nashville, and they could be the AAA team for that team, and so on and so forth. But after being in Tampa this weekend, I thought I was going to go in and see just this decrepit, almost kind of like Nissan Stadium, right? Nissan Stadium sucks. I thought that I was going to see something like that. This is way nicer than Nissan Stadium. It's not a bad park. And if that's not good enough anymore, and you're going to come to us, and we're paying the Titans $1.2 billion, good luck. Good luck. So unless some billionaire just decides they want to pay what will be probably a $2 billion expansion fee, plus a $2 or $3 billion stadium, plus pay the players, pay the manager, get a solid team, all those kind of, unless somebody's willing to do that, you're talking about probably like an $8 billion commitment. We're not getting a team. We're not getting a team unless we build somebody in an entertainment district, which I would be for. And if that started happening, you would never see anybody kiss more butt than me. But after that weekend out there in Tampa, if that stadium's not good enough, there's no way we're going to build something for somebody. So you can keep talking about us all you want. Every time somebody talks about Nashville, or every time, that fake group does some interview, my brother who lives in Washington, D.C. and is not a huge sports fan, my brother will text me, are we getting a baseball team? No. But every time that happens, I'll just say, hey, if that stadium in Tampa's not good enough, then I don't know what is going to be good enough. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. The latest with DeAndre Hopkins, where things stand and what we know and what we don't know. We'll get to that next. 615-737-1025, Stillman and Company, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
Stuck at work without a radio?
Wait a minute. Disastrous.
I hate that.
It's got to be there.
That's okay. Download the Game Nashville app or go to theGameNashville.com and listen live. We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
20 years ago, when Genesis Diamonds came to Nashville, this was one of the most expensive cities in America for diamond jewelry. Our radical approach and no middleman pricing changed that forever. And now we're doing it again, this time with lab-grown diamonds. We were shocked to find out what the other mall stores and the other big radio advertisers were charging. They sell their platinum 4-carat VS2 lab-grown earrings for $15,720. We sell them for $6,900. Their 3.08 carat lab-grown round diamond with G-Color VS2 clarity is $10,045. We sell it for $5,900. Looks like they might be going back to the old ways. If they're charging this much on lab-grown diamonds, kind of makes you wonder what else they're selling at the same outrageous markup. Nashville, we are not going backwards. At Genesis Diamonds, our non-commissioned trusted advisors are here to give you all the information with details you can trust and prices you can count on. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Today's world is filled with many things that can push any of us to our limit. An upcoming move should not add to that list. When you choose Black Tie Moving, you are going to get a highly awarded Inc. 500 company. From the free estimate by a local professional moving consultant to the red carpet treatment you receive on the day of your move, their trained and dedicated team is there to ensure that they take the stress out of the process. Call 844-920-2966. Then sit back and enjoy the best move of your life.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
And a score!
You can run different offenses.
The doors on the board.
Off the field, on the field.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. So it's so funny this time of the year, the NFL vacation period. It's so funny that we just get a tiny little glimpse of news, player movement, what have you, and it's like red alert on the bridge of the Enterprise. And that's how it felt yesterday when Mike Reese had a report, had an update on the Patriots. Mike Reese covers the Patriots for ESPN like TD does for the Titans. Mike Reese had an update on DeAndre Hopkins, which takes us to what we know in DeAndre Watch.
This is DeAndre Watch 2023.
Here is what we know. According to Mike Reese at ESPN, D-Hop update, quote, key points on where things stand with free agent receiver DeAndre Hopkins, according to sources close to the situation. And please remember that Mike Reese is referred to as the third Kraft son, are as follows. The Tennessee Titans and the Patriots have made offers. The Titans have been more aggressive to this point, and Hopkins hasn't been in a rush to sign. One reason for Hopkins to wait a bit longer is to leave open the possibility of another team entering the mix, potentially increasing DeAndre Hopkins' market. So we knew that part, and we knew that the Titans and the Patriots had made offers, and, of course, they hosted on visits. But now we know. Now we know that the Titans' offer was more aggressive than the Patriots. How much more aggressive? We don't know. What's the Titans' offer? We don't know. What's the Patriots' offer? Also, we don't know. So the latest is the Titans have made a more aggressive offer. And DeAndre is taking his time, hoping that another team will emerge or for a better market. I think that's pretty obvious, and I don't think that's good for the Titans. I don't think it's good that DeAndre has been sitting there twiddling his thumbs, literally living on social media over the last couple of weeks because he's antsy that he doesn't have a team, and he's just waiting for somebody to come out of the woodwork. Now, I don't think somebody is going to come out of the woodwork. And people talk about, well, what if there's an injury in training camp? And I understand that, but I was really thinking about this last night. If there's an injury in training camp, how many teams would say, okay, fine, we'll pay DeAndre Hopkins $15 million? I heard Adam Schefter say the Browns are definitely out on DeAndre Hopkins. They would be the team that makes the most sense because their owner is compulsive. But they've got wide receivers and money allocated for that. Baltimore, no. If something happens to Odell Beckham, they're not going to sign DeAndre Hopkins. New England's already in there. Miami, maybe, if one of their two receivers gets hurt. But how many receivers get hurt during training camp? Like, that's a risky thing for DeAndre to say, okay, this is my 1 year to prove it. I'm going to get a 1 year prove it deal, just like Julio coming here. Now, Julio didn't get a prove it deal, But once Julio fell out of favor here, it was over. That's kind of where DeAndre is. That in those 7 games that DeAndre played with Kyler Murray last year, DeAndre was the best receiver in the NFL. And I heard them talking about this on NFL radio. You can crunch the stats a specific way, and you can put DeAndre right up there with Devontae Adams and Stephon Diggs and A.J. Brown and all these other receivers. But he's had 2 down years by DeAndre standards. And so if DeAndre wants to play until he's 37, like he tweeted about last week, then DeAndre is going to have to make it on a 1-year prove-it deal. And I'm not sure it helps you to not show up to training camp and then have to learn a new offense, which he would have to do, unless he comes here or goes to the Patriots. So the idea that DeAndre is sitting there and waiting for a new team, that's obvious. And it's not good because it means he doesn't want to take the Titans' offer. But I understand it, and I'm not that afraid of it because I'm just not sure there are that many teams that have the money set aside to just make a $15 million purchase because our receiver got hurt, so now what are we going to do? I just don't think that that there's that much out there. And this all lines up with TD's reporting 3 weeks ago that the Titans were confident that they were going to sign Hopkins. And remember, I asked TD, I said, is it about the fact that, that he's visiting the Patriots right now, or is there a mystery team? Is there something out there? And TD said they're confident and that he's not worried about, and I shouldn't say he, that his sense is they're not worried about any other team jumping in and offering Hopkins a contract, and that it was all going to come down to money. And so this is what I think's happened. I think the Titans know the value of DeAndre Hopkins. I used the stats from last season. Now, he only played 9 games, but availability is the number 1 ability in the NFL. And in those 9 games, DeAndre Hopkins, to me, based upon the numbers I crunched between catches and yards, real production stats, I don't give a crap about target share point. I don't care about that. Yards and receptions. I know, a novel concept, right? The value of DeAndre Hopkins is $10.875 million, which rounds up, because every single one of those numbers rounds forward, to $10.9 million, which rounds up to 11. So let's just make it easy. His value's $11 million. I think the Titans know that. I think the Titans are offering more than $11 million. That's why their offer is, quote-unquote, more aggressive than the Patriots. Mike Reese put out there a couple of weeks ago that he thinks the Patriots are offering somewhere around $10 million with $2 or $3 million in incentives. I could see the Titans offering $12 million or so. I think they're offering about $12 million, and that's just a total guess on my part. And I think, again, going back to TD's report, that the Titans are confident that they're going to sign Hopkins, and Reese's report that the Titans' offer is more aggressive than the Patriots. I think the reason why the Titans are confident they're going to sign DeAndre Hopkins is because they know that their offer is over his value. And if another team in this league hasn't jumped up and said, all right, we're going to pay way above sticker price, then they're not going to. And that's why the Titans are confident that they're going to sign DeAndre Hopkins. Again, this is all about individual clues. Nobody's told us what the Titans have offered. The only thing that we know is the Titans brought him in for a visit. They made an offer. They turned it down, but it was a great visit, supposedly, and that they flew him in and out on Southwest. That's all we know. But when we hear, hey, they're confident they're going to sign him. When we hear, the Patriots have offered somewhere in the ballpark of $10 million with 2 or 3 in incentives. So you think even at best it's $13 million. But a guy like DeAndre Hopkins is smart enough and has the experience to know that that $2 or $3 million is by no means for sure going to end up in his pocket. I think that the Titans think that they've made an offer to DeAndre that nobody's willing to match. And that's why they're not worried about the Patriots. That's why going into the break, they were confident they were going to sign him. That's why they're not worried about a mystery team. coming out of nowhere. Sal Palantonio brought up Carolina, brought up Cleveland. And I still think that they may be confident. And, again, Albert Breer reported that if the deal with New England's going to get done, it's going to get done on Bill's terms. And the Patriots are a traditionally cheap organization. And so if it's going to get done on Bill's terms and it's going to be a Bill contract, the Titans probably already think that they've offered more than a Bill Belichick contract. So the news that the Titans have made a more aggressive offer than the Patriots doesn't really change my feelings about what's going to happen, whether or not the Titans are going to sign DeAndre. What it has done, though, the one tangible thing that report really has made me realize is I could not believe the idea that the Titans, who have just not spent that money, have not spent that much money this year on their team, the idea that the Titans could offer less money than the cheap Patriots just drove me crazy. It's embarrassing if you offer less money than the Patriots. And now we know that they're not. So I wouldn't say that the news that Reese is reporting that the offer the Titans have made is more aggressive. I don't think that that's anything to run away with. But it does kind of shed some light on why the Titans are confident they're going to sign him. And my guess is they're probably offering about $12 million with incentives that could get it up to 15. And that DeAndre probably wants the Odell deal at 15 to 18. And that's probably where they are. And he's sitting on his couch, anxious about where he's going to be, wanting to know who his quarterback's going to be, wanting to know where he's going to live, all these kind of things. And they're just saying, hey, just wait. Just wait, just wait, just wait. And I believe the Titans will be filing back into the office soon enough. And when that happens, then I think maybe we'll see a little bit of movement. I do think Vrabel wants this deal done before training camp, just because I know how important practice is to Mike Vrabel. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Let's get your thoughts on the latest news surrounding DeAndre. And there was a second part of what Mike Reese wrote at ESPN.com that absolutely drove me crazy. And it didn't drive me crazy that Reese wrote it, and I'm not boo-hooing, and I'm not some bobo, but that people think this, and I don't understand how. 615-737-1025, Stillman and Company, 102.5-106.3 The Game. Let's talk about Twice Daily. That's right. You know I love Twice Daily. There's one right here in my neighborhood in Green Hills, and I absolutely love it. There's one on my way to work. There's one on my way home from work. And then there's the one that's right there by my house. And so I am always hitting up Twice Daily. And I'll just tell you, Twice Daily can take great care of you, especially if you download the app where they've got the rewards program. They will take absolutely fabulous care of you. So download that app today, the Twice Daily app, and join their loyalty program to unlock special discount savings and so much more. It pays to be a member with Twice Daily because you'll earn points and save money with every visit. Get what you crave at Twice Daily. Made to order sandwiches, bakery, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Fresh items made to go. Hot drink, cold drinks, and stop by the beer cave to unwind with a cold one. If you're looking for convenience, Twice Daily has you covered. Buy any hot dog piled high with your choice of toppings, a bag of Frito-Lay chips, and your choice of a 20-ounce Coke or Pepsi for only $5 with the app. Offer ends August 28th. That's Twice Daily, fresh all day. David, I got a question for you.
What's up, bud?
Would you be on that Twice Daily offer? Are you a Coke guy or a Pepsi guy?
I'm more of a Pepsi guy.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
So I am too. I don't drink. I mean, I've been drinking a lot more soda probably in the last year than I had like the previous 6 years before that.
Yeah.
Which I'm not totally proud of. But I was always a Pepsi over Coke guy, and I'm like the only person that I know that does it. So I'm glad to see David's on that side. So with this Twice Daily deal, it's either a Coke or a Pepsi product. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106 The Game.
All the big plays.
Rebound, fly out in front, and Saros covers it up.
All the big stories.
Andrew Burnett reportedly hired as the next head coach of the Predators.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air.
Comparing goalies to running backs.
46-27 Vanderbilt.
Does this group of players need more?
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This year, Boys and Girls Club of Middle Tennessee celebrates its 120th anniversary. Through time, BGCMT continues to evolve to enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible leaders. Because of your continued support, BGCMT has remained strong and is committed to supporting our youth and solidifying our mission and culture in new exciting ways for 120 years. Visit bgcmt.org today.
The team at Mercedes-Benz of Music City have done it again. Here's Edwin Vickery to explain.
4-time recipient of Best of the Best. Less than 10% of the dealers in the country receive this award. How did you do it? We say culture, eat strategy for lunch, because we can strategize all we want. But unless you have the right culture and chemistry in the dealership, it will not work.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
Hey, are you seeking relief? Maybe you just want to enhance your day or night. Did you know there are legal THC products available right here in Tennessee? Yeah, really. You can have legal THC products shipped directly to the comfort of your home. Yes, comfort in cannabis is only a website away. Visit greentreescompany.com. That's Green Trees with a Z, and change your life today.
Yo, 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 what's up, party people? I'm Julie Foudy.
And I'm Lynn Ozawi.
We host the ESPN podcast Laughter Permitted, where we have candid chats with trailblazing women in sports and beyond.
We've talked with goats like Billie Jean King, Simone Biles, Mia Hamm, Sue Bird, Candace Parker, Michaela Schifrin, just to name a few.
So grab a donut or 500 and check us out wherever you get your podcasts. And a huge shout out to our presenting sponsor, Ally, who has supported us since day one.
It's Laughter Permitted.
Want to see our smiling faces? You can watch us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live.
We are good to go.
Presented by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. You're listening to Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I said, tell me what happened in Houston. And he went into it. He told me, he said, Michael, it was a bit of a power struggle there because Coach O'Brien thought he had too much influence over the locker room. He called DeAndre Hopkins in a meeting to talk about this and to kind of, I guess, hash it out. In that meeting, he started the meeting with telling DeAndre Hopkins this. That blew my mind when DeAndre told me this. He said, he told DeAndre Hopkins, he said, hey, the last time I had to have a meeting like this, it was with Aaron Hernandez. I was like, what? He put in Aaron Hernandez in this meeting? He said, yes, he did. He said, Michael, that blew my mind that he would even bring that up. I've never been in any trouble. I don't know why would he equate me with Aaron Hernandez. And from there, the meeting just deteriorated. You know, he got into talking about DeAndre Hopkins because DeAndre Hopkins has a few kids and from different women. And he said, you know, he told DeAndre he doesn't like that he has his baby mamas around sometimes. And from that, I think the relationship just went bad. And thus, we got a trade of DeAndre Hopkins from Houston for basically, like I said earlier, a ham sandwich, all because of that relationship.
There you go. That was Michael Irvin when DeAndre Hopkins got traded to Arizona. That is one of my all-time favorites. It never gets old. So there is something, again, in this DeAndre reporting that just drives me freaking crazy. This is Mike Reese at ESPN, who had a notebook, and the DeAndre item was number 3. And here's what just drove me freaking crazy. 4, DeAndre's incentive. Mike Reese writes at ESPN. If it remains between the Titans and the Patriots, one question Hopkins might have to ask himself is which team gives him a better chance to cash in on incentives and maximize his earnings. I don't disagree with that at all. The idea of, okay, who's going to give me a better chance if I'm playing with incentives? Who's going to give me a better chance to jumpstart my career with a big season? And who's going to give me a chance to maximize the earnings? given his production in Bill O'Brien's offense from their time together with the Texans, perhaps, Reese writes, that would give New England an edge. Oh, boy, that one got up my craw. Here's why it got up my craw. Number one, no matter what they say about how bygones will be bygones, it's obvious Bill O'Brien and DeAndre Hopkins don't like each other, right? If he's going to tell Michael Irvin all this stuff, it's obvious they don't like each other. Secondly, and this is the other thing, is Tom Brady still the quarterback there? I mean, the way that I hear people talk about the Patriots, and, if DeAndre wants to maximize his opportunity, he's better off doing it in New England. Is he? Why would he be better off in New England? Is Mac Jones a better quarterback than Tannehill? You know the answer to that. At least to this point, Mac Jones is not a better quarterback than Ryan Tannehill. Now, maybe he takes a big step. We saw Jalen Hurts take a big step last year, but he hasn't already done that. Is the receiver room better there or here? It's better there, which means that there would be more targets here. And I'm not mad at Reese, and I'm not some bobo. Oh, there, guys, a bobo for saying that they would. I'm not doing that. But what I am saying is I think there's this just massive assumption that DeAndre is better off in New England than he is in Tennessee. Nobody seems to remember the fact that Tim Kelly, Bill O'Brien's protege, who seems to have less of an anger issue than O'Brien, and I don't think has criticized DeAndre Hopkins for his baby mamas, but I don't know, is the Titans' offensive coordinator. And that in 2019, now O'Brien was still there too, but Kelly was the offensive coordinator with DeAndre. To me, that makes it a wash, right? Like, yes, O'Brien called the plays, and O'Brien's probably the better guru, but Kelly is his understudy, and Kelly seemed to do fine without O'Brien when, he left and he stayed in Houston. And, again, it doesn't seem like Tim Kelly has the personal beef with Bill O'Brien or with DeAndre Hopkins that Bill O'Brien has. Then, who's better quarterback, Tannehill or Jones? I'd say Tannehill. Where is he more likely to get more targets? Here or there, where they've got two tight ends to throw the ball to, where they've got a receiver they drafted in the second round, where they've already signed a receiver in Juju Smith-Schuster this offseason. I would argue here, where there's two other guys who are going to catch the ball, Treylon Burks and Chigakonkwo, and both are far from proven. Okay? So that's, again, I'd say that sides with the Titans. Money. We hear that the Titans have been more aggressive with their offer. And the other thing, too, just to note here, and then I promise to your phones because I see them. The other thing to note here, Bill Belichick is known for wanting to give team incentives over individual incentives. It's like Reese writes in the article that, well, maybe DeAndre's more likely to hit the incentives in New England than he is in Tennessee. But I'm not convinced that those incentives are the same. Floyd negotiated contracts on behalf of the Patriots. Bill Belichick did not like to give out individual incentives. Like, if you catch 85 passes, you get $1 million. But he did like team incentives. If we win the division, well, good luck winning the division this year in that division. So they're not exactly the same when it comes to the incentives either. Phone line driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com, 615-737-1025. It just gets up my craw. The idea that he'd be better off in New England than here. Brad has been waiting patiently and is up next. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. What's up, Brad?
Hey, guys. I just wanted to say that, up until now, really tried to tamp down my hopes that we were actually going to get D-Hop. And I guess it's because I haven't really been able to get a good read on what the Titans intend to do this year. Are we trying to win? Or are we in some kind of twilight in between year? It was really always kind of, murky for me. And look, even though he's probably not, level legit number one receiver, he's probably more like a high-end number two right now in his career. I believe he really is a bona fide game changer for this Titans roster. So with the Reese news coming out yesterday, it did one thing that really put my mind at ease. If it's true, it proves that the Titans want to win and that they're trying to be true to their word that they're going to fix the wide receiver position. And it doesn't mean that I think we're going to get him for sure, but I do feel better knowing that the Titans were genuine to the fans and that they are trying. That's the only thing I can say.
Brad, I appreciate your call. What did I say? I said after what Vrabel said after the draft, I said that's a promise. Mike Vrabel made a promise to you that he was going to improve the receiver position. And, of course, because he didn't get up and say, fans, I promise, Joe Rexroad said, oh, that's not a promise. That doesn't count. That's not, no, that's, it felt like a promise to me. I think Brad speaks for a lot of Titan fans. Like, I don't want to say, like, okay, this one caller represents the fan base, but I do think that he represents a lot of how you guys feel, which is this uncertainty of what this team thinks they can be this year. You know, it's like we know Buffalo thinks they compete. We know Cincinnati thinks they can win Super Bowl. We know Kansas City thinks that. What about this team? Like Indy and Houston know that they're not going to be good this year, but this team's kind of been in the middle. And they've sent a lot of mixed signals about that, for sure. No doubt. Free agency was a mess. The receiver position, they drafted another quarterback. I mean, it's I understand. I agree with about 90% of what that caller just said. And I don't think that he's off. And that if they get DeAndre Hopkins, I think it's a message to the locker room of, hey, guys, forget about all that. This team is built to win. And I do think that with DeAndre Hopkins, they will be solid enough. I won't say that they don't have holes because I still think they have holes at inside linebacker. PT suspension gives them holes on the offensive line, which they probably were going to have anyways. And any team can use depth, and the Titans have just been absolutely besought by injuries the last couple of years. So I'm not going to rule that out, but I do think that DeAndre kind of completes the puzzle, at least for me. I see your phones. We're right to him next. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. Stillman & Company, 1025, 106 for the game.
All the big plays.
Henry up the middle. Looks a little move. 10, 5, touchdown.
All the big stories.
Should the Titans go after DeAndre Hopkins?
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Touchdown, Tennessee.
You're going to make a trade like this.
Does he want to retire the Tennessee Titans?
The doors on the board.
Such superstar players.
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey there, Nashville. Do you like free speech? Do you love free food? Join FIRE, the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, as we give away 1,791 free hot chicken sandwiches to celebrate the year that the First Amendment was ratified. Come down to Big Shake's Hot Chicken in downtown Nashville this Wednesday starting at 11 a.m. to grab your free chicken sandwich while supplies last. Learn more at thefire.org/freehotchicken. Paid for by the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression.
Check, check. You might already know about the Acura MDX. V6 engine, seat 7. We have an announcement. We swapped that engine with a specially made 3-liter turbo V6, race-tuned the steering and suspension, and for the first time, added Type S performance to an SUV. So we're just gonna drop this right here. The Acura MDX and first ever MDX Type S. Acura, precision crafted performance.
Experience the thrill at Gary Force Acura, proud sponsor of the Nashville Predators. TennesseeAcura.com.
Hey, it's Jared. Want to tell you about Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Hiller is keeping you chilling all summer with special deals to keep you relaxed and happy this summer. Tackle those necessary home system replacements this month to take advantage of these special deals. When you purchase a select new HVAC system, you'll get 2 Yeti Trailhead camping chairs, a Yeti Panga 28L waterproof backpack, a Yeti Tundra 75, and 2 Yeti tumblers for free. And get special freebies on Yeti products with every new whole home generator or tankless water heater purchase. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
It's Black Friday in July at Electronic Express. Get up to 50% off in every department. Don't miss a TCL 65-inch Roku TV for only $349, or an LG laundry pair for just $499 each. Save on computers, appliances, 4K TVs, and more. Get an Acer Aspire laptop for just $199, or a Ring Video doorbell for only $149. Get up to 5 years special financing throughout the entire store. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Your Nashville Sounds return from the All-Star break Friday at Louisville. Swing and a miss, strike three. Sounds win. Pre-game at 6 o'clock.
On your home of Nashville Sounds baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
What's happening in Nashville? This is Scott Van Pelt. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The DeAndre Hopkins thing, I think they could be more aggressive. I think it's a deal that they could get done and make happen, and I think they should go ahead and finish the deal, land that plane, so to speak.
Would you – all right, I'm going to put you in Rand Carthon's shoes. Would you just give him the $15 million and be done with it?
Honestly, I probably would. I would have entered into this situation not fully with doing that, but I would do it at this point, being as okay, look, I'm this close. Let me go ahead and seal the deal.
All right, that was TD saying, yeah, you know what? I'd go ahead. I'd just put it over the top. Let's go to your phones as promised. Tyron and
No, I'm a Brady fan. No.
You know what?
Fan. It's Brady.
I was in Tampa this past weekend, Tyron. I agree with you. I'm a Brady fan more than I'm a Patriot fan. Go ahead, Tyron.
Oh, yeah. It's all about TB12. But a couple of things. The first thing is, and I think on the somebody, you're right about your first premises, Jared. I heard you talking about New England, this Bill Belichick and maximizing. You're right. Somebody needs to tell Bill, you don't have Brady no more, and that guy left you and won, and you ain't won a damn thing since he left. So that's for starters. But on this D-Hop ordeal, I got to tell you, and I'm gonna throw a little oil on this party. I don't think the Patriots or Titans are going to get him. I think it's a done deal, and I think the Chiefs are going to get him. And I'll tell you why, Jared. I think the Chiefs know he doesn't want to be in camp. Number two, no rush. We're going to extend Chris Jones. They're going to have to at some point because as good as Mahomes is, he's a key part and the captain of the defense. The minute they extend Chris Jones, that frees up the money to go get D-Hop. Now, if D-Hop's going to have a one-year
Does that free
deal,
up the money?
Oh, absolutely. If once they sign Jones to the extension, they got the money to go get Hopkins, and they know that, and he knows that. But my point is this. If D-Hop's going to be on a one-year prove-it deal to get one more, not big bag, but some bag, it's going to be with Pat Mahomes where he know he can vie for a championship, and he will be the true number one on that team. Because I'm going to tell you something. Entering right now as we sit, the Bengals and Eagles are significantly better than the Chiefs. And I don't think Pat Mahomes will win a championship again under the circumstances he won a year ago where he beat teams on one leg. And by the way, great as he was and immaculate as he was, the Eagles and Bengals both beat down their leg in the games. The Chiefs know they need another big weapon. I'm not telling you D-Hop's a beast like he used to be, but with the Chiefs, with Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid's system, he will flourish, my friend, and that'll give him one more opportunity at a bite at the apple, my friend. I think it's a done deal. He's going to the Chiefs, and the Titans and Patriots, the only way they can enter the sweepstakes is if it goes bad with the Chiefs or unless none of these elite teams or elite quarterbacks come calling. You're at the bottom of the barrel.
I agree with you to a certain extent. Thank you for your call, Tyron. I agree with you to a certain extent. I do not think the Chiefs are players, though, for DeAndre. And I'll tell you why. And I've said this time and time again. Yes, that signing Chris Jones to an extension would lower his cap number to a certain extent, but it wouldn't lower it to zero. It would lower it a little bit. I just think the Chiefs had a number in mind that they had in terms of, how much cash do we have that we're willing to spend this year? And that number in mind was in the $3 million range for DeAndre when they tried to acquire him before the draft. The Odell deal blew up DeAndre, reportedly, blew up the negotiations between DeAndre and the Chiefs, and DeAndre said, I'm not going to take a $3 million deal when Odell's signing for 15, which is fair. And the Chiefs said, okay, well, we've got to go in a different direction, and they drafted Rashee Rice in the second round. They then took the money that they were going to give to DeAndre Hopkins, and they gave it to Donovan Smith, the left tackle from Tampa Bay. So now I'm supposed to believe that after having used a second-round pick and after having spent the money that was allocated for Hopkins, they're going to give Hopkins 5 times the money they were originally going to give him. Now, I have a hard time believing that. What I think is more likely is that the Chiefs would say, hey, that $3 million is still on the table if you want to come here and play for the $3 million. And I don't think DeAndre is going to want to do that. I believe Kansas City thinks that with Kadarius Toney and Marquez Valdez-Scantling and the 2 draft picks, Sky Moore and Rashee Rice, that they're fine because the true number 1 receiver of the Chiefs is Travis Kelce. And it will continue to be Travis Kelce. Now, I agree. If the offers are similar and it's like a $2 million difference between the Titans and the Chiefs, I would take the money from the Chiefs because he is right that I think he's more likely to have a year where he goes off and catches a bunch of passes with Mahomes as the quarterback, and then he goes and signs a deal. Much better, but, kind of similar to the situation Juju Smith-Schuster had last year. But I don't think it's close. I think the Chiefs are offering $3 million. The Titans are probably offering around $12 million. I don't think that's close. Carl is in Franklin. He's up next here. He's been waiting patiently. What's up, Carl?
Hey, Jared, how you doing, brother?
Good.
I'm beginning to agree with you on everything you've been saying, man. I liked your analysis and everything, how you evaluated Hopkins and his value. I do think that the Titans are probably a couple of $2 or $3 million over what his value is. I believe that's what they're looking at, and I how you broke it down about his playing chances and his opportunities here in Nashville. The thing that concerns me is I do believe that he might not just be looking at nothing but just money right now. He may be looking at a contender, and so that being said, I do believe in how you broke it down. And my last comment is I also agree with you about the baseball stadium. I don't think downtown Nashville would be would put the money up. I do think it would be in outlying counties, and I like the idea of Rutherford County and Murfreesboro better. Brother, I was born and raised in Franklin, Tennessee, and they won't give you a cup of water if you're dying of thirst. They sell you a cup of water, and if you ain't got $1 to buy it, they let you die of thirst.
So I would say I want to stay on your DeAndre point, and I appreciate your call. And to me, the DeAndre thing about, well, what if a contender gets into the mix? This is what I keep hearing. And I don't doubt that this is true, false. I mean, I think there's definitely something to this. That if a contender were to jump in the mix on DeAndre Hopkins, would that change the discussion? I think the answer is yes. I do not think the Titans are viewed as a contender. I do not think that the Patriots are viewed as a contender, nor do I think the Patriots should be viewed as a contender. But beggars can't be choosers. This is why the Titans have to pay DeAndre Hopkins over the value that he's probably worth. Because the Titans sat out in free agency, and they sat out in the draft, and I guess they could draft one of these 2 kids in the supplemental draft that's supposed to take place, I think, tomorrow, later this week. I don't know, there's 2 receivers that are both from the Big Ten that are eligible for that. I guess they could add one of those guys. But as far as adding a legitimate starting receiver, which they don't have, beggars can't be choosers. I'm not a huge DeAndre Hopkins fan, but I'm a beggar, and I know beggars can't be choosers. In DeAndre's case, I keep hearing all this talk about, well, if a contender joins the mix, or what if this happens, or what if that? And I'm like, if the contenders wanted in on the DeAndre sweepstakes, the contenders would have been in. You think Arizona wanted to give away DeAndre for free? They tried to trade him. His salary was $19 million. Kansas City was trying to work out a deal reportedly in the $3 million range. So, I mean, I hear you. The idea of, well, what if the Bills call? You mean the Bills that have an unhappy number 1 receiver? They're going to add another receiver when the number 1 receiver wants the ball more? I saw Josh Allen, I think he went on Bussin' with the Boys. Josh Allen said he was like, oh, the media's blowing this out of proportion. Sure. Yeah. Star wide receiver's mad at the end of the season, doesn't show up to the voluntary program, and leaves the mandatory minicamp when he's already shown up. And the coach says he's concerned. Yeah, it's the media's fault, Josh. Sure. So I don't think that there's a contender that's going to jump in these DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes. I keep hearing people say, well, what if somebody gets hurt at training camp? What star wide receiver that commanded a $13+ million salary last year, what star wide receiver got hurt in training camp last year? You see what I'm saying? That's a risky proposition if you're DeAndre. Ken in Waverly texts in and says, Mike Reese never said the Titans made a more aggressive offer. He said the Titans are being more aggressive. Please stop making stuff up. Let's go to the tape. Here's what Mike Reese wrote. The Tennessee Titans and the Patriots have made offers, comma. The Titans have been more aggressive to this point, and Hopkins hasn't been in a rush to sign. Buddy, he said the Titans, when he has the comma, he's telling you that that is in reference to the offers that have been made. Again, quote, the Tennessee Titans and Patriots have made offers, comma, the Titans have been more aggressive to this point. That is describing the pre-comma part of that sentence. So yes, the Titans have made a more aggressive offer than the Patriots. Ken and Waverly, you can drop it in the text line and on Twitter, where apparently old buddy's all worked up. 615-737-1025 if you want to weigh in as well. 615-737-1025. Stillman and Company, 1025-1063 The Game.
Every Wednesday at 8:30. Join Robbie and Rexroad for The Choice is Yours.
2 sports questions, 2 non-sports questions.
They'll answer a couple of questions about life and sports. The Choice is Yours is built by Jarrett Companies. You have a choice. So when you have a need for site and utility work, fire protection, concrete and asphalt services, the choice is simple. It's Jarrett Companies. For more, visit JarrettCompaniesInc.com. The Choice is Yours. Wednesdays at 8:30 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Ray Jeter here with Harness. Are you looking to take ownership in a position that will support your growth and development? We are an excavation and site utilities contractor. Several things set us apart from our competition, but we take the most pride in the professional development of our people. We have multiple openings for operators, pipe layers, and laborers. Our pay and benefits are second to none, including our 401k program. Apply today at selectharness.com. Harness LLC. Build people, move dirt.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Houston Clinic Orthopedics at TriStar Summit offers world-class orthopedic care. The doctors at their Hermitage location specialize in general orthopedics, sports medicine, and hip and knee pain and injuries. Get back to enjoying life sooner. Schedule your appointment online at tn.houston.com. Conveniently located in the TriStar Summit Medical Center in Hermitage, right off I-40. When experience matters, trust Houston Clinic Orthopedics.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay, Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
Nashville's radio version of The Odd Couple.
You would trade for the third pick? Yeah, I don't know that I would do that.
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode.
I'm here for the discussion. I'm not. It's a good one.
It's absurd. Robbie and Rexrode. Mornings from 6 to 9.
Win the games. When they get in the playoff, they'll have a chance to.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
We got a little news coming out about DeAndre Hopkins. We are being told now, AJ, that the Patriots and Titans have offers on the table for DeAndre Hopkins, and the Titans have been more aggressive in their pursuit of D-Hop than the Patriots are. Now, is that just natural because Bill Belichick runs things in New England? We're not going to be too thirsty, and maybe the Tennessee Titans' new GM obviously need a weapon after the A.J. Brown trade a year ago, and they sent him to Tim McGraw.
Right.
Are they more? What do you think here? I think him at the Titans makes a lot of sense, especially if you're a Titans fan or a Titans GM, AJ Hawk.
Yeah, it does. But if you're D-Hop, which place gives you the best chance to win a ring this year?
Yeah, and is it neither of those places? He's kind of waiting on another place maybe to make an offer.
There you go. That was Pat McAfee earlier today saying, you know, what's going on here? And AJ Hawk's like, well, maybe he's waiting. Again, if the big players were going to get in there, I think they would have already been in by now. I don't think the waiting, and I think that's why the Titans are confident. TD said they were confident in their offer. Mike Reese says their offer is more aggressive than the Patriots. I think the Titans know they've made the best offer, and I think the Titans think they're going to make the best offer. Sylvia in Clarksville texts in and says the Titans should offer DeAndre Hopkins incentives for showing up to practice. And Chip in Mount Juliet follows up with, the waiting is all planned by DeAndre Hopkins. He loves the media and bidding war. I think DeAndre's camp is the one that's telling him to wait. And if I were advising DeAndre, I would tell him to wait. Chip says this is playing into his hands. And also, he hates to practice and he hates training camp. I have heard that a lot about how, well, DeAndre's a veteran and maybe he doesn't want to go to training camp and DeAndre hates practicing, and maybe. But I do find it odd that the two teams that are interested in DeAndre probably have the two coaches who are the biggest sticklers for practice. Like, I mean, I hate to say it like this, but Mike Vrabel wants you to practice. You know that. Now, for the vested veterans, he makes some exceptions. So Ben Jones, over the years, Roger Saffold over the years, those guys, you know, Derrick Henry will take it easy on those guys. And I think he would do the same for DeAndre, but not in camp. I think he would want DeAndre on the field. Belichick, I know DeAndre, or he would want DeAndre on the field. So I do not think that DeAndre, I think this is going to get wrapped up before training camp. Because I think both teams are going to want him out there for training camp. And if it lasts into training camp, then I think we're looking at a Clowney situation, and I didn't like that from the start. Texture says the facts are the Titans could have had two good receivers in the second and third round, and instead they got a quarterback that was uninspiring last year and will not help for at least a year, and a running back that you could have gotten with a fifth-round pick. Now the Titans are at the mercy of an aging superstar receiver. Thank you, Mike Vrabel and Rand Carthon. You guys inspire us ticket holders. That comes from Raymond. Chill out, Raymond. I don't completely disagree with you. But I also think that you're being unfair. Let's go to Levis for, the starters, in this kind of discussion about, we could have had a receiver and instead drafted Will Levis. Okay. First of all, I've watched the Will Levis tape. It wasn't just a so-and-so said he sucked, or I watched the Tennessee game, or they didn't beat Vandy, and so I've decided that Will Levis is no good. It's not that. I watched the Will Levis tape. And as I told you all, during the draft process, I liked Levis. I didn't love him. I liked him. Now, I still have some of these concerns about the personality, and we'll see how that shakes out, but I like Levis. I see the talent with Levis. I think he's got ability. And I think he carried a sorry Kentucky football program to a respectable season last year. I watched the Georgia tape where they scored 6 points last year. A texter had texted in about how, Anthony Richardson sucks because, again, this goes back to how I loved Anthony Richardson. I liked Levis. I loved Richardson. And so a texter had texted in like February or March or whenever it was and said Anthony Richardson was horrible against Georgia. And I was sitting there. We were doing the show that day at Bridgestone, and I was just kind of sitting there as I was talking on the air, and I'm like, you know what? I'm totally unprepared to answer that text because I haven't watched it. So all I can do is take that texter's word for it that Anthony Richardson was horrible against Florida or against Georgia, excuse me. Not that I thought he was. I mean, I didn't know. So I watched. So I turned on the tape, and I watched that Georgia tape, and I was like, God, I love him. So then I was like, you know what's fair? Let's watch Levis against Georgia. Let's watch Hooker against Georgia. Now, I went into watching the Georgia tape on Levis, knowing that they had scored 6 points, thinking that it was going to be UGLY and not have an alibi. And I actually was impressed with Will Levis. I thought he showed a lot of toughness. I think he played hard. I think he threw them back into the game. They had a kicker that missed a 38-yard field goal by about 500 feet. There was something stupid they did coaching-wise that drove me crazy. I mean, when I watched the tape, I liked Levis. So when you say, oh, no, now we're at the mercy of this wide receiver because we drafted Will Levis, like they think, and I think, now clearly you don't think this, but I think this and they think this, I think there's a chance that Will Levis might actually develop into a decent player. And if you get a franchise quarterback out of this, and there's no telling if you will or if you won't, if you get a franchise quarterback out of this, then it was worth it, regardless of what the team does this year. The Chiefs hosted a home playoff game and traded up for Patrick Mahomes. Now, they could have used some help, but they decided, no, let's go for it. He didn't play for a year. So let's not get worked up there. The Spears pick, that one, that's receiver. Texter says, I think the Titans are playing it smart. It never hurts to have a veteran wide receiver on the roster to shake up the offense. I don't really know what that means, so knock yourself out with that one. Texter into the text line says, in regards to the Titans, I know that some of the Titans executives are in the office this week because they have some meetings going on, but these are the business executives. Again, business and football, I'm just going to tell you, I love Burke Nihill. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a good CEO running that operation. The last thing I want is Burke Nihill picking the wide receiver. In fact, I think the last thing that Burke Nihill wants, and I don't want to speak for him, but I think probably the last thing that he wants is for him to be picking the wide receiver. I was actually listening to NFL radio the other day, and I thought about cutting this clip, and I didn't. But I was thinking they were talking about, they were having a DeAndre talk, and the host, Bill Leckis, real good guy, he was talking about, if you look at that 7-game sample that DeAndre Hopkins had, outside of the fact that he only scored 3 touchdowns, he was better than the top receivers in the game during that 7-game period last year. I think he compared them to Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, and A.J. Brown. And I heard that. And while I listened to that and I heard it, I thought to myself, is this the makeup for A.J. Brown? Can I convince myself that paying $15 million for DeAndre would make up for A.J. Brown and the trade that the Titans made when, again, the price of a top receiver is $25 to $30 million? And I ultimately decided no, because DeAndre is still on the back nine, regardless of where on the back nine he is very clearly on the back nine. But I listened to that, and I thought to myself, could Amy Adams Strunk be convinced by just that line of thinking, right? That, hey, look at all the yards, 7 games. I know he took methylpropylbenzoline, and that was in his system. He got him when he chewed his Flintstones vitamins in the morning, and he didn't know that they were in there, or somebody got into his Flintstones gummies and put something in there, and so he tested positive for methylpropylbenzoline, and that's just, he missed those 6 games. And, it's bad that he quit those last 2 games last year, but Arizona sucked, so let's forgive him. Again, I'm just throwing this out there. I don't feel that way, but I'm just saying. But look, when he played with Kyler Murray, and I think Tannehill's a better quarterback than Kyler Murray. I don't know how you guys feel, but I think he's better. When he played with Kyler Murray, his stats were as good as A.J. Brown's. Is that enough to convince Amy Adams-Strunk that this could be the makeup for the mistake that I was a part of? Because she was a part of that. And then, if we're talking about the Titans offering $12 million and DeAndre willing to sign for $15 million, things, by the way, that we aren't sure of on either end. But if we are talking about that, is that where the owner says to the GM, how badly do we need him? And the GM says, we need him. And the owner says, well, we've offered 12, and he says he's going to wait. And the GM probably thinks, I don't think somebody's going to come in and offer a better deal. And our computer models say that he's valued at $10.875. But if we pay $15 million, we can get it. If the owner says, let's do it, then it gets done. And I do wonder if that line of thinking could convince Amy one way or another. And kind of in this shared power that the Titans have, this structure that they've built, I think the owner's involved. And I do wonder, maybe that could play a role in there. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. The Jeremy Fowler list. It's not Jeremy Fowler's list, but it is a list that he compiled. League people rank one Titans player, not surprisingly, very, very high. The question is, what about everybody else? We'll get to that next. Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The offseason is in full swing, but there's no slowing down ESPN's Teron Davenport.
The flow of information.
He talks the talk.
Spears gives you that guy that can still hit the home run.
And walks the walk.
As a run blocker, he's going to murder a linebacker at the second level.
On everything Titans, TD is on Mondays at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast. TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
It's Joe Rexford here letting you know about PhD weight loss because in 8 weeks I'm down 24 pounds, well on my way to the goal of 38. Feeling great, loving the food items they provide, which, by the way, 85% of the food provided at no cost. No pills, no gimmicks, no other suppressants, no cravings, no crap. It feels good. It feels sustainable. That's a big thing, right? Huge thing for people who want to lose weight, keep it off. There's a plateau that you hit sometimes where you stall and quit. This is a plateau busting program, okay? Constant Care. It's a program that is designed for you, and it's also tweaked for you as you go. That makes the word plateau irrelevant. You're coached. You're motivated. You're going to know what's happening with your body. You're going to understand how you were getting rid of the visceral fat that can do so much damage to it. And this is going to help you a lot. It's simple and easy. It involves weekly phone discussions with that coach. And there's a guarantee. If you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight at the end of your program, PhD will continue to coach you for free until you do. Join me now. You won't regret it. Visit myphdweightloss.com.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormonal deficiencies and imbalances. And Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve your quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit our website at coolspringsmd.com.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
79-52 Vanderbilt. And I think he's going to coach up by Cheryl.
You're going to see more moves.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. So ESPN every year in July, during the NFL off season, like the true off season from the NFL, which is the last 2 weeks and now this week, the NFL puts out their list. And it's not NFL.com's list. It's Jeremy Fowler at ESPN puts together a list. It's not his list, but he compiles it. But over the years, it's been talking to executives, coaches, and players. Mike Sando used to do something similar called the quarterback tiers. He then moved on to The Athletic, where he only talks to league executives. And I do like that, and I'm kind of expecting that soon from The Athletic. It'd be nice now that they're in charge of the New York Times sports department if we could get that sooner rather than later. But Jeremy Fowler has now replaced that with these top 10 lists. And every year, even though it's just NFL coaches, executives, and players' opinions, it's a composite, it does represent how the league thinks, or at least it should represent how the league thinks. So he's already put out the off-ball linebackers. Titans aren't in that and shouldn't be. Defensive tackles and edge rushers. Then they've got cornerbacks, safeties, tight ends, running backs, offensive tackles, guards and centers, quarterbacks, and wide receivers. Now, Jeffrey Simmons checks in at number 3 as far as defensive tackle is concerned. Aaron Donald is number 1 with the Rams. No argument from me. And Chris Jones is number 2 of the Chiefs. Also, no argument from me. Both those guys are championship caliber defensive tackles, and I think have done more to this point than Simmons. If I had to go to war, I would take those two guys before Simmons in an AFC title game or that kind of, arena. Now, again, Simmons had a good game against the Bengals, and it's not his fault Tannehill threw 3 interceptions. But the success of those two at the biggest stage, I'd have to put them ahead of Jeffrey Simmons. So I don't have a problem with that. Here's my guess on what the Titans are going to get. And this is the concerning part, is the Titans. You guys talk to me about the cap problems all the time, and I think that it's bullcrap. I think the cap is totally fake, and I think if the Titans really wanted to maneuver money around, they could, however they want to do it. But what I keep trying to figure out is, who are the Titans paying? If this cap is such a big deal, how many top 10 players in the NFL do the Titans have? And these are top 10 players at their position as voted on by executives, coaches, and players. Well, we know nobody at off-ball linebacker, and it shouldn't be. Simmons, top 3 defensive tackle. Totally agree. Nobody today made the edge rusher list, and should have made the edge rusher list. Corners tomorrow, I don't think anybody will make that. Safeties on Wednesday. Now, I expect Kevin Byard to be in the top 5. Now, I do think what's going to be fascinating is what these league executives say about Byard, because obviously the whole pay cut thing's going to come up. And I do wonder when that Fowler article drops on Wednesday if we're going to see some league executives say, yeah, he's really more of an $11 million player at this point because his legs are starting to go a little bit when you look at the tape, or if it's going to be, how could they have asked him to take a pay cut? I am interested to see what the other league executives are going to say. Again, off the top of my head, safeties in the NFL, Byard's probably a top 5 guy. So I expect him to be in there. Thursday, tight ends. Now, I think Chig Okonkwo has the potential for a breakout season. He's a big play guy, and they're going to throw the ball to him more this year than they did last year. And his last season was as good as Jonnu Smith's best season. So, Chig's a dude. Or at least we think he could be. But I don't think he probably makes the top 10 at tight ends. I'm not a league executive. I haven't played in the NFL. I'm certainly not a coach. So my list would not qualify for what their list is going to be. But my guess is the top 10 tight ends in the NFL are probably going to be Kelsey 1, Kittle 2, Mark Andrews 3, Kyle Pitts 4, Dallas Goedert 5, Evan Ingram 6, Hunter Henry 7, Darren Waller 8, even though Waller really is starting to fall off, Dawson Knox 9, and TJ Hawkinson 10. Now, I could easily, if Chig has the season that I think he's capable of, that he showed glimpses of last year, I think I could see Chig at 6 next year on this list, ahead of Ingram, Hunter Henry, Waller, Knox, and Hawkinson. Probably not going to get past Kyle Pitts or Dallas Goedert. So, no, I don't think that they'll get a tight end in there, but I think, maybe in the future, so I'm not going to get too sad about that. Running back. They will obviously have a top 10 player in the NFL. Now, see, this is a position that is super fascinating as far as this list is concerned, because everybody is convinced that the time is running out on Derrick Henry. I don't know if Derrick Henry's going to revert to what we think most approaching 30 running backs that have carried the ball a crap ton of times do. But I'm not going to assume that either. I'm going to have to see Derrick Henry slow up before I believe that Derrick Henry has slowed up. And for everybody out there that thought that Derrick was slowed last season, because I see some of that, the analytic guys are like, the numbers tell us that Derrick's really not as good as he was a couple of years ago. I'm like, did you see the line last year? Did you see the receivers last year? And when it's A.J. Brown out there and Arthur Smith's dialing up all kinds of crazy plays and you don't know what may happen, and they've got a Pro Bowl left tackle in Lewan and Roger Saffold's pushing people around, and when they had that, I'm sure it was easier for Derrick than that ragtag group of players on offense he was around. Plus, the offensive coordinator was a moron. So, let's see. But I know Derrick won't be number 1 at running back because he never is. Every year, the way the voting system works, they find a way to knock Derrick. I remember one year they made Saquon Barkley the number 1 running back in the NFL. He had no business being the number 1 back in the NFL. But, oh no, Saquon's got the potential. He's this, he's that, he's that. And so even though Derrick Henry's the only running back in the NFL who literally wins games for his team, I think we'll be surprised on Friday where Derrick Henry is listed. I would not be shocked if he's not in the top 3. I think they will definitely put Christian McCaffrey ahead of Derrick. I think they'll put Barkley ahead of Derrick. They shouldn't. And I think they'll sneak somebody else in there ahead of Derrick. Maybe Nick Chubb. Maybe Jonathan Taylor, although he had a down year last year. But remember, Derrick Henry was on pace to lead the league in rushing and have a second straight 2,000-yard season. He broke his foot in 2021. And then Jonathan Taylor played well, and everybody just dropped their pants for Jonathan Taylor. Disgusting. So then next week after that, as they continue to release these top 10 lists that Jeremy Fowler has compiled across the league, tackles, Titans definitely do not have a top 10 tackle. Guards and centers, the Titans may have a top 10 guard under 280 pounds. They might have the only guard in the NFL who weighs in at under 280 pounds. QB, that'll come next week. By the way, receivers are last. Let's just say, again, going through this top 10, how the league's going to vote on the Titans at wide receiver. I mean, it's wide receiver's terrible. Quarterback, I do wonder how far down the list Tannehill will be. I do not expect him to be top 10. I don't think Tannehill has ever been top 10, even after the AFC title game year, and I don't think Tannehill was top 10 the year after that. And it's not like I look at Ryan Tannehill and I say, top 10 quarterback, but it is more so that for me, after you get past the obvious Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Rodgers, and I like to put Herbert in there, but I know other people knock Herbert a little bit more than I do, that after you get past that group, it's kind of like a smattering of, well, one guy really, really likes Lamar Jackson, but another guy really, really hates Lamar Jackson. And all these other quarterbacks that are not in the Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Rodgers group, I think at times, like, I'm not afraid to take Ryan Tannehill into a game against those guys. Take Ryan Tannehill into a game. I mean, he's 0-3 against Joe Burrow for a reason. Now, he does actually perform well against Mahomes, which is a little surprising. But, I mean, I do wonder how far down the list he is. Because I put together a top 10 list, and I had Jared Goff at number 10. And I don't think Tannehill is that far away from Jared Goff. But long story short, these lists are going to come out over the next week or so. And the Titans in the entire NFL, again, with a cap that you guys, the cap, it's so bad. Jared, John Robinson, Porteous, Byard, numbers too high. We can't kick the can down the road, even though every single team other than us seems to do it every year. The Titans are going to end up with 3 top 10 players: Simmons, Byard, and Henry. And you can make the argument that they were trying to get rid of 2 of them. I mean, that is not a good place to be. Even though I still think the Titans are probably going to win the division because I just don't believe in Jacksonville. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll keep our eyes peeled on that. 615-737-1025. Speaking of DeAndre Watch, Adam Schefter, the latest on what he's heard. And is there a mystery team out there for DeAndre? We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
And local.
It will help them get better players. I'm really excited about this defensive front.
And your source for Nashville sports.
They had missed the playoffs.
Those players may end up being practice squad guys.
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The FedEx Cup playoffs start in Memphis at the FedEx St. Jude Championship. Come out to TPC Southwind August 9th through the 13th and watch the PGA Tour's top players battle to make it through Memphis. Enjoy Memphis at its finest with specialty cocktails, local eats, a vibrant atmosphere, and much more. 2 kids 15 and under admitted free with a ticketed adult. Daily grounds and upgraded tickets are available now at FedExChampionship.com.
Genesis is actually a new beginning.
Genesis Diamonds owner Boaz Ramon talking about why it's called Genesis.
I love the symbolism of the name. It's a new beginning.
Boaz wanted the name of his company to mean something, to reflect his core values and the importance of starting relationships for people in love, as well as the relationship he wants with each and every customer.
It's a new beginning in their life for the relationship between us, the jeweler, the Genesis Diamond, and the customer, and it should last forever. Everything we do is for the customer.
Walk into Genesis and you can feel it. Genuine people who are solely focused on celebrating the best moments of your life.
It's not only my passion, it's my culture. Genesis is the book where God created the world, the day and night, the man and the woman. every diamond engagement ring that we specially created for the customer is a new beginning for amazing lasting relationship.
Come start your amazing lasting relationship today at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Get in on the conversation at 615-737-1025. The game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts provides more than just the right parts for your repair. Our professional parts people can also offer free check engine light diagnosis. We can scan your vehicle and provide a list of possible fixes. Find the right parts for you or recommend a great local repair shop. Don't ignore your check engine light. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. WORK, Work News Radio.
Next up, how many days until Friday? Well, one coworker has it figured out. But first, the latest on a meatball shortage that could have been avoided by using Easy Cater.
I'm at the buffet where the meatballs are dwindling. While Caprese salad supplies remain strong, sources say the garlic bread is long gone.
Newsflash, it's hard to order the right amount of food, but at Easy Cater, we make hard easy. With catering experts ready to help 24/7. Order from over 100,000 restaurants at easycater.com.
Anyone want to tell me what happened? Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to thegamenashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
You're listening to Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I see where Hopkins is trying to hold tight. Like he's like, hey, look, I'm gonna get my money. Like you guys can keep trying to pay me, 8, 9, 10, whatever it is. I want my 13, 14, 15. And so that's why I think he's fighting for what he feels like he deserves. And again, he's not missing anything anyway. So you might as well sit out there and kind of see what the market brings. And even if you sit out for a couple of weeks into the training camp, you can do that, knowing that you still have two clubs that are still trying to figure out how to fit you in and might continue to start to, bend a little bit, if not break, and say, you know what, let's do it.
There you go. That was Mark Dominic, former NFL general manager. And it does feel like that's what DeAndre Hopkins is banking on. The idea that some team out there that, we have not talked about in the DeAndre sweepstakes, because there's only two, the Titans and the Patriots, the Chiefs. Everybody talking about the Chiefs does not make the Chiefs a contender in the DeAndre sweepstakes. And so he's hoping maybe somebody else joins the mix or somebody gets hurt and then all of a sudden a team needs DeAndre and they go get him and all those things. But is there a mystery team to be worried about? That is the latest in DeAndre Watch.
This is DeAndre Watch 2023.
Adam Schefter on SiriusXM NFL Radio, asked by Mark Dominic about, is there a mystery team? Now, Scott Boras, the great baseball agent, he's the number one baseball agent, or at least, he's considered to be the number one baseball agent. Scott Boras has, for years, used the mystery team to leverage, and it always feels like it's the same six franchises. The Nationals, he's leveraged into big deals with his clients. The Tigers, he leveraged into a bunch of big deals with his clients. The Rangers, the Mariners, the Yankees. Scott Boras knows how to play the game. And a lot of times, there's only one fit for a team, and these other teams that would have the money, we don't need a third baseman, or, we had him at AA and didn't like him. And so you got to have the mystery team that Scott Boras is not telling you about in order to make you fear that they could be trying to get you. And I say this because Mark Dominic asked Adam Schefter if there's a mystery team out there, or is he, one of the most plugged-in guys in the NFL, hearing about a mystery team for DeAndre?
Is there another team that maybe in the wings or in the weeds a little bit, waiting to see how this Hopkins thing plays out?
I don't know that, Mark. I think, again, he has been fairly vocal about the fact that, there's certain quarterbacks he has wanted to play with. He is the one that listed, I believe, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and somebody else. Like, there were 5 Justin Herbert, maybe. He rattled off 5 quarterbacks that he wanted to play with. And we also know he visited the 2 places he did. Is there another team that is lurking out there. That's always possible. I haven't heard of one. I don't know of any teams lurking that we haven't heard linked to him. I know Cleveland's come up. I don't expect Cleveland to be the landing spot for DeAndre Hopkins ultimately in the end. But, again, it's also July 7th, and there's still situations that will unfold that maybe we can't see right now.
Okay. So a lot of the talk is about what could happen. But that's just all, somebody could get hurt. Well, somebody has to get hurt in order for that to become a reality. So push that to the side. There is not a team in this league that is interested in DeAndre Hopkins at the kind of price that got DeAndre off his butt to go visit other than the Titans and the Patriots. And according to Mike Reese at ESPN, the Titans' offer is more aggressive to DeAndre Hopkins than the Patriots' offer. I think this is what the Titans are banking on, that there's not going to be a mystery team. And for years in Major League Baseball, general managers and owners got duped in by Scott Boras to the mystery team. And I think the Titans, and this is a big moment for Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel, because they're rookies. I think the Titans are willing to make DeAndre show his hand. That they are pot committed, but that they're not going to, they're not going to push all their chips in for DeAndre because I don't think they have to. And this goes back to all these other teams out there. Could Atlanta be interested in DeAndre? And what I'm seeing a little bit with DeAndre Hopkins is what I feel like we saw with Lamar Jackson, which is a player that is really good, who is out there, and there is not a total understanding of what the player's value really is and who really wants the player. During the offseason, you turn on, before Lamar signed his contract, you turn on TV, and it was, if the Ravens don't use the exclusive $40 million franchise tag on Lamar, but they use the $30 million non-exclusive franchise tag on Lamar, then they will lose Lamar. I saw Damian Woody and Dan Orlovsky screaming about that one day on TV. And I thought, well, wait a minute, they can just match whatever any of these teams offer. Oh, no. The Atlanta Falcons, they wanted Deshaun Watson. They will go all in order to get Lamar if you let him become that kind of free agent. They placed the non-exclusive tag on Jackson. 5 minutes later, it's reported that Atlanta's not interested. Then it was Indianapolis. Remember, Indianapolis was the team. They could be interested in Lamar. Would they trade the number 4 overall pick for Lamar Jackson? And would they give him the contract? And would they? No. They were never interested in that. Washington? Oh, yeah. Dan Snyder. You'll see. Dan Snyder on his way out. He's going to want to shove it up the keister of the other NFL owners, and he's going to continue the precedent of the Deshaun Watson contract, and he's going to give it to Lamar Jackson. And he didn't. And the reality was, Lamar's just not that good of a player. That's the problem. I kept saying, if this were Burrow or this were Mahomes, and they were to play out 2 franchise tags, then we'd see if a fully guaranteed contract is coming to a quarterback. I would even wonder if Herbert would get that kind of treatment. Let's say Herbert, now he's going to sign a contract this offseason, and he'd be stupid not to, because it's going to be like $200 million in his pocket the second he does it. But let's say Herbert were to say, you know what, I want to be a full free agent. So he's going to play this year for the Chargers, play next year on the 5th-year option for the Chargers, franchise tag by the Chargers, franchise tag again by the Chargers, true free agent. He might be able to get a fully guaranteed contract. Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, I am almost assured would be able to get a fully guaranteed contract. But those are the only guys. Nobody else is getting that. Tua is not getting that. So when it comes to DeAndre and all these teams that everybody says DeAndre should go to, I think that they look at their roster and say, nah, we're good. A wide receiver that's had 2 down years that wants more than $10 million guaranteed a season, plus he doesn't like to practice. And he doesn't know our offense. There's a lot of teams out there like that. If you're the Dallas Cowboys, for instance, and I hear people use them as a team. Now they've got 2 receivers in CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks, and they're also paying Michael Gallup. And so it wouldn't make a lot of sense for the Cowboys to go out there and be a mystery team when it comes to DeAndre Hopkins. But if you are the Dallas Cowboys, is DeAndre Hopkins really better than Brandon Cooks? Brandon Cooks plays more often. Brandon Cooks has been incredibly productive, and nobody talks about it. Is it worth an extra $15 million when you've already paid Brandon Cooks? Probably not. And that's every team in the league. The other thing that I'm not convinced of, Schefter says, maybe something will happen. And that's kind of one of these, this kind of line of thinking, is that something could happen. That there could be something. Somebody could tear an ACL in training camp. And it is very possible because we see training camp injuries all the time. But how many teams in the league would spring for a $15 million receiver, a $10 million receiver, $12 million, whatever it may be? Who would spring for that kind of receiver if their number 1 or number 2 receiver got hurt? I think Buffalo might. Now, they've already spent. They're right there with Cleveland in terms of money spent. And so if something were to happen to Diggs or something were to happen to Davis, they could probably do it because the cap's fake and they've got rich owners. But I don't know if they would. Or if they would say, hey, we drafted Dalton Kincaid. We've already got Dawson Knox. I think we'll be okay. So I really don't think that there's a mystery team out there for DeAndre Hopkins. And when Adam Schefter is almost convinced, no, I haven't heard that there would be any other team that would be interested. But, it's early July, and so we'll go from there. When I hear that, I think to myself, the Titans might be right. When TD said 3 weeks ago that the Titans were confident, they were confident that they were going to sign DeAndre Hopkins, I think it's because they know that they're going to offer more money than the Patriots, which reportedly they have, and that they don't think there's a mystery team out there. I mean, if DeAndre is going to bank on an injury, and it has to be an injury to the right team with the right amount of money, maybe if it were to happen to the Colts, it doesn't matter. They're not going to do that. They're not trying to compete. So it has to be the right injury on the right team. That's a lot to ask for. So, I think it's a 2-horse race. And the question for me is this. You know what? We'll get to that on the other side. 615-737-1025. 615-737-1025. The question for me is this on the DeAndre front. This is the overriding number 1 question. And we'll get to it next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every day we are live and local.
I think Vanderbilt is steady, disciplined.
It's been so long since Tennessee's gotten out of the first weekend.
And your source for Nashville sports.
I don't mind going to another team.
You want to know what the coaching staff's going to look like?
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hang on. It's going to be a wild ride. The PBR team's champions, the Nashville Stampede, are coming home in a run to defend their title. Stampede Days, August 18th through 20th at Bridgestone Arena. Heart-pounding action you don't want to miss. Tickets start at $20. Get yours today at PBR.com or Ticketmaster.com.
Yeah, we coming.
Join us for the ride.
Hey, it's Teron Davenport, and we're changing the game.
Help your bets stay hot this summer at Superbook Sports, the most trusted name in sports gambling with a direct line to Las Vegas. And now, when you use the promo code THEGAME, you score up to $250 with their first bet bonus. Win or lose, Superbook will match your first bet up to $250 with promo code THEGAME. Download the Superbook Sports app, enter the promo code THEGAME, and you'll get $250 courtesy of Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Men, at the Tennessee Men's Clinic, our urologists and providers have been helping guys with erectile dysfunction and other sexual health issues for years. And unlike some, at the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we take a comprehensive approach to your sexual health. Our sole focus is to treat ED and related conditions. ED can be affected by a bunch of things, from hormones, prostate issues, medical conditions, and even simply aging. The fact is, most guys experience it at some point in life. If you're suffering with ED, it's extremely important to see a provider that understands how your medical conditions, hormone levels, and other factors can impact your ability to have sex. That's why you should come to the Tennessee Men's Clinic, where we have treatments that are effective in nearly 90% of cases. I can't tell you how many guys we've seen that thought their situation was hopeless, only to be wildly surprised. So give us a call today. We'll do some blood work with a T-check and a medical consult to give you the best shot at success. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. We have 2 offices, Midtown and Franklin.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra, results vary.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Your Nashville Sounds return from the All-Star break Friday at Louisville.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Sounds win.
Pre-game at 6 o'clock.
On your home of Nashville Sounds baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey Nashville, this is David Poyle. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
We got a little news coming out about DeAndre Hopkins. We're being told now, AJ, that the Patriots and Titans have offers on the table for DeAndre Hopkins, and the Titans have been more aggressive in their pursuit of D-Hop than the Patriots are. Now, is that just natural because Bill Belichick runs things in New England? We're not going to be too thirsty, and maybe the Tennessee Titans' new GM obviously need a weapon after the A.J. Brown trade a year ago, and they sent him to Tim McGraw.
Right.
Are they more? What do you think here? I think him at the Titans makes a lot of sense, especially if you're a Titans fan or a Titans GM, AJ Hawk.
Yeah, it does. But if you're D-Hop, which place gives you the best chance to win a ring this year?
Yeah, and is it neither of those places? He's kind of waiting on another place maybe to make an offer.
There you go. That was Pat McAfee earlier today talking about, hey, the Titans have made a more aggressive offer than New England, but, I mean, does he really want to go to Tennessee? And here's what I think it's come down to. Again, Adam Schefter says no mystery team that he's heard of so far for DeAndre. Now, somebody could get hurt in training camp, but sometimes when I hear that, it's almost like we leave out the idea that nobody could get hurt in training camp, that no wide receiver could tear their ACL and be out for the season. And so if you're banking on that, I don't know how I'd feel. And we also don't know what the conditions of the deal with the Titans are. We don't know if Mike Vrabel has said to DeAndre's camp, like, I want him here for training camp because I need him to develop a chemistry with Tannehill. So deal's off if we get to training camp. I don't know any of that. But here's what I think the real question is. If the Titans deal is better than the Patriots deal, which it is being reported, does DeAndre really want to play for Belichick? Like, is the allure of Bill Belichick, is that still something for DeAndre Hopkins? I've met Bill Belichick once in my life. I've interviewed him once or twice in my life. I feel like I know Bill. I really don't know Bill, but I feel like I know Bill because Floyd and Bill were so close. And because Floyd would tell stories about Bill all the time and things that he and Bill talked about and things that, he felt about the game and Bill felt. But I don't know Bill. But for me, if I were in DeAndre Hopkins' shoes, and that's all I can go off of, I would not be attracted to playing for Bill Belichick. 5 years ago, absolutely. 5 years ago, I would have thought I get to go work with the guru and, he's going to program me like a robot. I'm going to go get the secrets. It would be like if you were a great chef, one of the best chefs in America, and you got to go see what Emeril Lagasse does with his spices. That's what that would be like. It'd be like getting to go play college ball for John Wooden. But over the last 3 years, Belichick hasn't just looked average or mediocre in terms of results, but it's been downright embarrassing, some of the things that have gone on there. It's embarrassing enough that you pushed Brady out and that Brady turned around and won a title, but is that as embarrassing as the Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi drama last year? Or the two defensive and special teams coaches coaching the offense last year? I mean, I could not believe Belichick was doing that last year. And he was so arrogant about it. And I don't know if you guys remember. I'm not sure if you guys care or cared then either. But nobody knew when Josh McDaniels left who the play caller for the Patriots was going to be. Nobody knew who the coordinator was going to be. And so, Belichick had Joe Judge doing some play calling, and he had Patricia doing some play calling, and neither guy's an offensive coach. But, I mean, to me, that was downright reckless. Like, I could not believe that Belichick was doing that. I'm like, dude, you're Bill Belichick, and you're doing something so reckless and so stupid that no other coach in the NFL would do. And 8 years ago, we would have said, ha, Belichick, genius. But the grades have come out, and the aptitude tests aren't as high as they used to be. So if I were in DeAndre Hopkins' position, and it was, okay, the Titans are offering more money, it's still not exactly all the money in the world that I want. The Patriots are offering less money, and they've got Mac Jones at quarterback, and I hate their offensive coordinator, and it got personal. He compared me to Aaron Hernandez and told me to have my baby mama stop showing up. If it were that or the Titans, the only thing that I could assume would lead me to pick the Patriots is if I really, really, really wanted to play for Belichick. And maybe that's where DeAndre is. I think DeAndre's close to my age. I think he's 31. I'm 33. So we're similar in age. Probably watched the same amount of football growing up. Probably watched Brady and the Patriots and all their dynasty and all their runs and everything else. I mean, I remember the first time I interviewed Bill Belichick. I was like, oh, my God, it's Bill Belichick. So maybe that's what DeAndre has inside of him. But I don't have that anymore. I think the shine is off the apple. So that's why I think the Titans might be confident. Unless Belichick really does, the idea of playing for Belichick really does mean something big to Hopkins. JD in Brentwood, our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, texts in and says, if a wide receiver one got hurt like Stephon Diggs, don't teams have insurance to cover their salaries? Thus, the owner would pony up the same amount. That comes from JD in Brentwood. I think it's a lot more complicated than that. I don't think you're completely wrong. I think it's a lot more complicated than that. And just because they would get the money doesn't mean that they'd want to spend it. In fact, I'm not sure I've ever heard in the NFL, and you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, I'm not sure I've ever heard in the NFL a story of team's starting quarterback is out for the season with an injury, And because the insurance company is going to cover the salary, they went out and signed so-and-so instead. I mean, maybe that's what happened with Tannehill when he tore his ACL with the Dolphins, but I don't ever remember that. In fact, remember last year, Jimmy Garoppolo, the 49ers would not let Jimmy Garoppolo practice with them because if Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt at practice, his whole $20 million salary would have guaranteed, and they didn't want to pay Jimmy Garoppolo $20 whatever million it was. So I don't think that you get that money back. I think that's just how it is. So when it comes to a wide receiver one like Diggs getting hurt, I don't think that they would get that money back. And it gets even more complicated, too, when you think of a guy like Diggs who got all of his money in the form of a signing bonus this year because they redid the contract because the cap's fake. And so he totally redid his contract, and he got a signing bonus for this year. Well, that means that 20 whatever million it is, that's not a salary. That's a signing bonus. You don't give that back if you get hurt. And that doesn't get covered for injury. That signing bonus is not for the 2023 season. That signing bonus is for the contract, to sign the contract. So it gets even more complicated there. Texter into the text line says, I don't think DeAndre is wooed by Bill Belichick. I think that it is much more of him trying to leverage the Titans and the Patriots against one another. Here's the one thing I would say, and we need to keep this in mind for everything when it comes to another player making a big decision. What youth would do is not exactly what they would do. So when I say that I think the shine's off the apple on Belichick, and that the only reason I could see DeAndre Hopkins choosing the Patriots over the Titans, especially when the Titans are offering more money, is if he's just wooed by Belichick. And you, the texter, you don't think that that's the case, and I get it, but I'm telling you, just because you and I wouldn't do it doesn't mean that they wouldn't do it. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We got a potpourri to hit to end this program. Bunch of different stuff I got to get off my chest. We'll do that next. 615-737-1025. Stillman & Company, 1025, 106 The Game.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, live and local from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. When you want the national
Hey. I got this. I'll take it from here.
Okay, go ahead. Dying to hear this.
We have the best national voices that you'll find anywhere.
Who was more deserving of being thrown from their game?
I'm odd, so I get the odd picks.
They have a new coaching staff. It's not a bad scenario for them.
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
And 94.9 The Fan.
It's Black Friday in July at Electronic Express. Get up to 50% off in every department. Don't miss a TCL 65-inch Roku TV for only $349, or an LG laundry pair for just $499 each. Save on computers, appliances, 4K TVs, and more. Get an Acer Aspire laptop for just $199, or a Ring Video doorbell for only $149. Get up to 5 years special financing throughout the entire store. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Being value conscious and getting the most for your money is so important these days, and that's why it's more important than ever to shop at Genesis Diamonds, the undisputed value leader.
Part of the education at Genesis Diamonds is we explain to you how we travel the world and purchase our diamonds, how we buy in bulk, we pay cash for our diamonds so we can save every possible percent to save you money on your diamonds.
Genesis Diamonds Vice President David Cooper.
There are no middlemen, there are no other wholesalers or dealers, so we cut out all of those extra added markups and pass those savings on to you.
When you combine that unmatched value with a totally no-pressure shopping experience, you know you're in the right place.
Because we do not work on commission, our sole purpose is to make sure you get exactly what you want. There's nothing in it for us personally, whether you spend $1,000 or $100,000.
That's why at Genesis, people often end up spending less than they had budgeted.
Our goal is to purely present you with options so you can choose exactly what you want.
The value you want, the experience you deserve. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Tuning into the baseball game, monitoring the incoming storm, catching your favorite talk show. These are just a few of the reasons more than 80 million Americans depend on AM radio each month. And did you know AM radio is the backbone of the emergency alert system, keeping us safe in dangerous times? It's reliable, free, and public safety depends on it. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
In 1972, a Nashville family business story began when Bill and Beverly Finley founded Volunteer Hose and Gasket. 3 generations have grown the business into the local industry leader supplying just about anything to anybody, from the largest of contractors to your neighbor that mows his own yard. Over 1 million items in stock: belts, belting accessories, gaskets, gauges, hose fittings, hydraulics, industrial hoses, lubricants, sealing products, tubing, fire protection, and more. All at volunteerhose.net. If Volunteer Hose and Gasket doesn't have it, then you probably don't need it. Call them at 615-242-0461.
3 days of racing, 3 days of music, one huge weekend event. The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix is not just a race or a festival, it's an experience. Multiple music stations with Flo Rida, Vince Neil, Chris Jansen, Gavin DeGraw, and more. Fast cars going over 200 miles an hour. And a family fun zone with inflatables, Ferris wheels, kids games, and kid-friendly food trucks. Tickets and premium hospitality are on sale now. Go to MusicCityGP.com for tickets and get ready to experience Nashville's premier speed and sound event.
One is a legendary NFL wide receiver.
I gotta be prepared. I have to be ready.
One is a legendary Nashville voice.
You don't have to rely on carrying the ball 250 to 300 times.
And the other has been a legendary trash talker on the playground since the 4th grade.
Nobody is a Pro Bowler on day 1 of rookie minicamp.
They are Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays at 11 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company, we got some breaking news. This coming from Pete Thamel of ESPN. Northwestern has fired football coach Pat Fitzgerald. So I don't know if you've been following the story over the weekend. I was absolutely, completely floored on Friday when I saw the report out of the Northwestern student newspaper. And bravo to those reporters at the Northwestern newspaper, because those are college kids. Like when I read that story and I saw at the bottom, all the emails were, Claire Johnson 2027 or whatever it may be at northwestern.edu. I'm like, those are students that broke that story. And Northwestern has a fabulous journalism program. And the story is, long story short, and I would say go read it for yourself, Northwestern had a culture of hazing. And it was incredibly inappropriate for 2023 hazing. And Northwestern completely and totally crossed the line. Now, Pat Fitzgerald didn't know. They launched an investigation. They brought in a law firm, which is what everybody does. And Northwestern is not Ohio State. Northwestern is not going to sell out its reputation. And Northwestern has a fabulous reputation. They're not going to sell out their reputation in order to win football games. Ohio State would. Florida would. Georgia probably would. Northwestern's not going to do that. But Pat Fitzgerald put Northwestern on the map. And so they bring in this law firm, and the law firm does an investigation and finds that, yes, there is a toxic culture of hazing, and no, the coaches didn't know. And so what Northwestern decided to do was, after reading the investigation results, they decided to suspend Pat Fitzgerald for 2 weeks without pay. That is a slap on the wrist. Well, I guess some of the student athletes, or one or two of them, weren't very happy. They went to the paper and they told them what happened because they were upset with the university's punishment. And so they put out there they reported what had happened. And I even saw a statement from the president at Northwestern that was basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, he got too caught up in the fact that the investigation said that Fitzgerald didn't know. And after kind of seeing some of the backlash, he realized, no, this is a big deal. and that our punishment was way too light. And I'm going to say this. I don't know Pat Fitzgerald at all. But at the same time, everything I thought about Northwestern football was class. And that's why I was shocked when this story came out over the weekend because, I mean, I could see this happening at some places. Northwestern? By the way, sure Peter Skoronsky is looking forward to his first media availability as a rookie at training camp. Peter, what up with the hazing at Northwestern? Were you a part of that? Sure, it's inevitable it'll get asked something like that. He probably should get asked something like that. But regardless of whether or not Pat Fitzgerald knew, the amount of money that these football coaches make, it makes them responsible for knowing. And he didn't know. And for such a proud university to have something happen to the football program like that, I mean, that sullies the reputation. And yet at the same time, Northwestern could have gotten out of this. They could have held firm on the fact that they had hired a law firm to come in and roll an investigation, and Pat Fitzgerald didn't know. And Pat Fitzgerald has been a man of integrity for the last however many years, 25 years as a Northwestern guy, and they could have kept him. But they didn't. And he's out. He's out. So that's the breaking news. Pat Fitzgerald is out at Northwestern. Trevor will be on the program tomorrow. We will obviously get into this with Trevor. But according to Pete Thamel, and he would know, Pete Thamel at ESPN, Pat Fitzgerald is out at Northwestern. And there's a couple things I want to hit on right here. First off, just through the weekend and everything. Number one, how does this happen in 2023? Like, I understand, back in the good old days and all that kind of stuff. And, everybody's got a camera on their phone. People get reported over everything nowadays. People get recorded when it comes to everything nowadays. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. I'm not a corrupt person. But the reason why I don't break laws and do bad things, I hope, is because I'm moral, but it's also at the same time because I'm scared to death of getting caught. And in today's society, I mean, you use a urinal and it's like, oh, Jared Stillman used this urinal at this time. So for these Northwestern football players, how did they saw what happened at Penn State. They've seen what's happened with these other scandals and things like that. So how can this happen in 2023? How can this happen? This be a systemic hazing thing. And not the first day it happens, somebody's feelings not get hurt. They go tell their parents call the coach. I have no idea how that happens. So that's first thing. Second thing I want to get to is that I spent this weekend in Tampa watching the Braves play the Rays, had a blast. Great baseball this weekend. Great game Friday night. Braves kicked that butt on Saturday, and the Rays kicked that butt on Sunday. So it was a solid 2-game series win for the Braves. I love that city. I love that stadium in Tampa. And for years, I've had my eyes on the Rays being the team to relocate here. But if that stadium in Tampa is not good enough, and they say they're not going to sign up after 2027 for more of it, I don't know how we can do much better than that. And third, the home run derby is tonight. Now, Matt Olson leads the National League, I believe, in home runs. And somebody texted in earlier today and said, how can Matt Olson not participate in the home run derby? Let me just say this. I'm glad that he and Ronald Acuna are not participating in the home run derby, even though I think it might be bad for baseball. Ronald Acuna has the number 1 jersey. Shohei Ohtani's number 2. And I think it would be good for baseball to have the stars and the jersey sellers. And just because when I was a kid, it was about McGuire and Sosa and Griffey, and we didn't watch the home run derby for Carl Everett, but we did watch. Now, the home run derby has lost its luster, and there's a lot of guys that don't want to participate in it, including my guy. But selfishly, I'm glad that my guy doesn't want to compete in the home run derby because I don't want it to screw up his swing, or I don't want him to get hurt, or all these other things. And I'm sure we'll find our way into talking a little baseball tomorrow just because it's the All-Star game. And, I mean, what else is going on anyways? And so I'm sure we'll, unless DeAndre decides to sign, we'll probably find our way into talking a little baseball. But all I ever hear is the complaining about the All-Star game in baseball, about how, it's not the same and it stinks now. And I would agree it's not the same. I mean, when I was a kid in the 90s, I had National League pride as a Braves fan. I did. I don't have National League pride anymore. But don't all the All-Star games kind of suck now? The Pro Bowl basically has ceased to exist. The NBA All-Star game is absolutely unwatchable. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that we had Dwayne Wade breaking Kobe Bryant's nose in the All-Star game. Now, I mean, they don't play a lick of defense. But I did like the home run derby as a kid, and it's just not the same anymore. That's it for us. We're out of here. Stillman and company. We'll see you all tomorrow at 2.